Hey guys! Okay, today we're going to go through the exact psychology of being a sexy older man. And most older guys I coach don't have a clue about this stuff. Okay, not long after I graduated high school, two of my friends started dating guys in their 40s. This is when they were around 20. And when I started modeling, I found this to be a pretty consistent pattern with many of the more intelligent, emotionally mature girls that I worked with. But before I get into that, why should you believe me? Well, for anyone who's new here, I'm Tess. I'm the head female coach at Social Coach. And since 2006, we've sent our team of model female coaches on date with our clients, first on Zoom, then in real life. And we give them brutally honest feedback from the female perspective on what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and exactly what you need to do step by step to improve your success with women dramatically. And we'll share a bunch of proof on this a little later on. But before I continue, I'll just introduce my co-host, James.
Hello, the silly old man needs to turn the camera on. Hey, Tess, how you doing? Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one, actually. You've been conned. You've seriously been conned if you're a man, particularly an older man. What I've done is I've looked at a whole bunch of movies of what the world used to be like before we got conned by all this, whatever you want to call it, post-feminism, crazy red pill. In my view, just divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. I think they want to divide and conquer men and women. So yeah, this is what the world was like just a short time ago in the space of virtually everyone on this call's lifetime. I think that was 1999. 69-year-old with a 29-year-old. I can't remember the exact numbers. I think it's 22 and 51. Gary Cooper, Grace Kelly, High Noon. This one's a big one. I think it's 44 and 19. Humphrey Bogart, one of the iconic stars. Singing in the Rain. A 40-year-old with a 19-year-old. These days, he'd be in all sorts of trouble for this. Rear Window, one of the greatest movies of all time. I strongly recommend you see it. Grace Kelly, I'll give you the exact numbers in a second. So this is what we've been, this is the way the world's worked for a long, long time. I'll just give you some examples. James Bond movies, For Your Eyes Only, Roger Moore. 53, the co-star, 23. Another great movie, Frantic, Harrison Ford, 45, Emmanuel Siegner, 21. I could go on and on and on and on. To Catch a Thief, Cary Grant, 51, Grace Kelly, 29. There's a few Audrey Hepburn movies where the age difference was like incredible, like 30 years, like 19 and 49 and that sort of thing. So what happened to the world? Why are all the people we see these days, why are they all roughly the same age? I don't think that's a mistake. So the first thing you've got to do, and we'll get Tessa's perspective on this soon, is you've just got to get it through your thick head. You've just got to get it through your thick head. You've just got to get it through your thick head. Intelligent, younger women want older guys. This is probably the first step. You've got to actually internalize this and believe this after 20 years of massive propaganda to make you think otherwise. If you look at First Nation people, if you go to villages where people live like they have for thousands of years, just 50 people, some chickens, some cows. If you just think about basic common sense of the way men and women age very differently, Tess might touch on that in a second. If you just go back 30 years, as I showed you with all the movies, plus just basic evolution, one of the things I certainly noticed in my 30s is if I even went on a date with a girl, I'm 35, I won't go on a date with a girl who's 32. We want completely different things in life. I want to make a ton of money. I want to travel the world. I want to do this. I want to do that. She's like, let's go furniture shopping and then build a nest. So there's this gigantic gulf in the way men age and the way women age. And it's just, for most couples, it's just crazy to date someone your own age. You could find a really good person for you, but you're just pulled apart by that sort of thing. Tess, did you want to talk a little bit about how men and women age differently, particularly in reference to your when you're a teenager or early 20s, how they were dating much older guys? Just give the guys a bit of background into that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's quite obvious to a lot of people that women do mature a lot faster than men in terms of our social intellect, our emotional intelligence, I think, as well. It kind of takes guys a little bit longer to get there. So women in their the early 20s, young women often are at a much higher level of emotional maturity than men at that stage. And oftentimes where we find it really frustrating with, men of the same age is that they're not meeting us in terms of, their maturity levels and their emotional maturity as well. That can just become hugely frustrating. So oftentimes, when those guys are still trying to figure things out, we find a lot more pleasure and in terms of like stable relationships with older men who have figured that stuff out. Yeah, definitely. And it's you don't need. It's just so apparent in society, and even from a very young age, the different rates in which women and men mature, like even from a really young age. I see 3 and 4 year olds, and you can see the difference in what the females are doing compared to the men. I mean, to the boys. I mean, boys are just like bashing things with sticks and crashing cars together, and the girls are like playing sophisticated games around social dynamics between dolls in a house. So it's just it's just we just mature at different rates. That's it.
So let's think about this. I'd say my average client is probably somewhere around 50, maybe even creeping a bit above that. Tons of 40 somethings, maybe 48, 50 to 50. So what does the average guy who's, achieved something in life, maybe got an okay career, what does he want in his early 30s? I'll tell you what I wanted. I wanted to travel to every country in the world and have a girlfriend from every country I went, every city I went. I wanted to do this, I want to do that, I want to study acting, I want to do meditation courses, I wanted to do hallucinogenics. I wanted to really experience life because I'd worked so hard in my 20s. Whereas I met the greatest women of my life in my 30s, but I never really took them seriously because I'm like, I'm in love, but I'd rather go to India or Pakistan or something. So Tess, you're an expert in this subject. What is a beautiful girl, 28, 29, 30, 31. What's in most cases, I know there's 10 or 20% of the female population who basically are like men who are as driven as alpha male as men. But what is the average girl who's not, and you probably don't want to date them, just quietly, fun for a short time, very fun for a short time. So what is the average beautiful, much above intelligence woman, what does she want when she's 28 or 29 or 32, which I'm guessing is the age most of you guys are looking for? Just talk about that.
Yeah, so obviously it varies a bit dependent on the woman and her personality, but you can't deny that there is a biological clock for women in terms of childbearing, and I think that when women start to get to around their 30s, that becomes really apparent. So what they're looking for at that stage is to settle down. They're looking for someone who's going to be a long-term partner, who's going to be loyal to her and be a good father to her children. She's probably looking to settle down at that stage. And I mean, if you think about it, I think the having a child past the age of 35 is actually termed a geriatric pregnancy, which is, in Western culture seems quite young because a lot of people are waiting. A lot of women are waiting, into their mid 30s to start bearing children. But physiologically, it's termed as a geriatric pregnancy. So the closer women get to that age, the more they're thinking about it, the more they kind of get desperate to get to the point where they are, just having kids.
So, but what are most men, particularly quite accomplished men who've built something with their career, played sport, done things, ambitious guys? Some of us, if we're very rich and we're planning on having 3 wives, whatever, Donald Trump, Rupert Murdoch, Elon Musk style. Some of us might want to have kids really early, or an NBA player where they've got, 12 kids to 7 different wives or something, or some of them go way beyond that. But yeah, for the average guy who just makes pretty good money, generally a lot of us, we don't want that sort of commitment. We're still focusing on our career. Many of us are still trying to get laid or actually sleep with beautiful girls regularly. It's just so different, so completely different what we want in life from there. Just a bit of an example. I might have touched on it earlier with me. It's just the thing you got to understand is that it's just destined to fail. That there's a rule called plus. This is an exercise for you all to do. Divide your age by 2 and add 7. So I'm 54. It's telling me I should be dating 34-year-olds. I don't like this rule anymore, but it really worked well up until I was about 45 or something. But on a serious note, that is a really good benchmark. If you've done a little bit with your life, the stuff you've done you're proud of, you might want to pay attention to that rule. So if you're 50, divided by 25, so you should be dating a 32-year-old. That's probably a really good fit emotionally, because you're getting to a point where, I'd like to settle down and have a family, blah, 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 blah. You might be a little bit past 20-somethings. Whereas if you're 40, again, 27, that's probably not too bad for the average guy. Again, I don't want to use pejorative terms like bogan and redneck and chav and whatever they call them in different parts of the world. But if, you're sort of one of those Aussie guys who's, down the sports bar having a drink, watching the races and watching the footy and betting on the horses or the nags, whatever they call them. If you're one of those guys, maybe it is a bit more natural for you to sort of, get the local girl who works at the deli or something and start having a family. But yeah, for many of us who've done a bit more with our lives, we don't really want to do that. So yeah, you've got to get this through your thick head. And the other big thing of this is, if I become a women's dating coach, which they'll probably hate me, many of them, so I'll just tell them the truth. But one of the first things I'll say is, stop maintaining this complete fiction in your mind that if you're quite an accomplished 32, 33-year-old guy, you're going to find some guy more accomplished than you, who's taller, who knows how to behave himself at a restaurant, who's nice with your parents, who knows how to dress, who ticks all these boxes, who makes much more money than you. The idea you're going to catch this guy at 35, it's like some poor person saying, oh, well, I'm just going to keep buying those lotto tickets and I'll get me Ferrari and me place on the beach soon. It's a nonsense. It's a dream. It's probably not going to happen, as much as the movies and everything else tell us to do that. Because guys like, I possibly was in my 30s. We want lots of girls. We want lots and lots. So many. And one of the things that happened with me is I was a virgin till 27, 31. And then I lost my virginity to an exceptionally beautiful girl, the most beautiful girl I've personally seen with my own life. And she was 23 when I met her. I was probably 31, 32. And this is a huge tip. This gave me the belief that a girl as beautiful as that, who flew around in planes modeling sometimes, could want me. I should have it getting 2 degrees too. And then even before that happened, the third girl I ever slept with was like a proper model. She was, can you say the S word on YouTube without getting in trouble? She was one of the biggest promiscuous girls, starting with an S, you'll ever meet in your life. But she was 18, I was 31, and she slept with me. And she kind of liked me. So I suddenly got this reframe. What happens to guys in our student community? We've got a whole bunch of guys we sort of introduce and do live events with. And many of them become close friends. It's like, I'm 47. I've got 2 daughters. I can't date a 24-year-old or a 25-year-old. That's like being a pedophile or something, isn't it? By the way, pedophile is a word to define prepubescent women, which is the most horrible crime in the world, or prepubescent boys. The idea that you're applying it to some 47-year-old with a 24-year-old is just a complete corruption of the language for nefarious means. So what's happening within our student community is guys have have seen their friends, or one of them started it and they're, oh, she really likes me, she's great, and they've met the girl, and suddenly what seems a bit weird and pervy suddenly becomes really easy. And getting back to the way I started this with all these iconic movies, we've really been brainwashed this last few years. So yeah, it's just a psychological barrier that you've got to break through. And yeah, I mean, last girl I dated was literally 22, and she was a lot smarter than me. A lot smarter than me. Okie dokie, let's move on. Tess, did you want to add anything on that?
No, yeah, I think yeah, you just have to, James gave some examples of the media, you've got to pay attention to what's being broadcasted to you. Right. So the fact that, what we see in movies today is what you think should be the societal norm is not necessarily what is naturally true for humans. Yeah. So just try and see beyond the veil. Go ahead, James.
Tess has raised a good point. One of the girls I'm thinking of hiring as a female trainer, she loves romantic movies. She's an actress model. She loves romantic movies. So she gave me a list of 6 to watch. And one of them was Matthew McConaughey and whatever her name is, Goldie Hawn's daughter. You can tell how old I am. I don't even know her name, but I know her mother's name. And yeah, it just puts this fiction into a woman's head that this 34-year-old media executive can somehow win the heart of this 36-year-old sort of advertising company CEO who's Matthew McConaughey. I'm just like, it's just not going to happen, girl. You might as well try to win lotto. The chances of this happening are so slim. They're just brainwashing men and brainwashing women. If she got him when he was 50 and there was a really good connection, that could possibly happen. Okay, next thing is you've got to, sorry, I hate using all these fancy self-help terms. You got to do a reframe. Wrinkles and grey equals experience, wisdom, and status. Wrinkles and grey equals experience, wisdom, and status. I'm pretty healthy for my age, which definitely helps. But yeah, all this crap on me, I really don't think it's made that much of a difference. All this grey and it's a bit round the sides. And it was a bit worse a couple of years ago before I did a radical diet and health change. Actually managed to reverse grey hair. No bullshit. So yeah, I just don't think it's hurt me. As I said, the last girl I was dating was 22 and way smarter than me by a long way. So yeah, and if you think about life, I mean, pretty much every job, whether you're a doctor, a surgeon, or an accountant, or an osteopath, or whatever your job is, finance, whatever your job is, or a plumber, a tradesman, if you've got grey hair, it doesn't involve a huge amount of physical labor. Generally, you're going to earn more just because of the grey alone. And I'm sort of friends with 2 guys who went grey very, very young, who say the reason they get paid so much money, they're both in marketing, the reason they get paid so much money is because they've got all this sort of credibility that they don't really deserve because they haven't done that much, but the grey hair does that. And it's exactly the same with women. If I'd prepared a bit better, we'd have done the George Clooney salt and pepper thing. Women go gaga for that. I don't know if there's many Indian guys watching, but one of my clients who became an approach coach, he was what the George Clooney salt and pepper. He was salt and pepper probably in his mid-30s, and girls were like, oh, it's so sexy, it's so sexy. So you've really got to have a reframe about, I mean, if you're fucking obese and you got this huge gut and you got hairs coming out your ears and hairs coming out your nose and you're poorly groomed and you dress like a slob. No, some hot 22-year-old ain't going near you. But there's a huge difference between that and George Clooney or Brad Pitt or a whole number of my clients once Tess dresses them. By the way, if you've got any hairs protruding out the end of your nostrils, you ain't getting laid. Some girls would say it's worse than bad breath. Maybe not. Tess, what do you think? Protruding nostril hairs versus some bad breath. What do you think?
To be honest, I would say bad breath is worse. Poor dental hygiene. I think women have a stronger sense of smell than men in general. Poor dental hygiene can really turn a woman off. I think nasal hair is a lot easier to get rid of. If you've got a serious problem with bad breath, that can be bad. So yeah, guys, pay attention to that, and the nostril hair too. Just pay attention to both.
But we get so many guys who earn $500,000 a year or $120,000 a year who are multimillionaires who come to our boot camp, and you can see they've spent like $2,000 on their outfit, and they got the hairs coming out their nose, and the female trainers go, "Oh, I don't know where with him. There might be a booger in there." So yeah, you got to trim those nose hairs down, guys, because it doesn't matter how good a job we do of teaching you, you're going to limit your success a lot. So yeah, please make this reframe. And to tell you the truth, I was kind of scared when I started going grey. I'm good for business. It might not be good for me finding my 23-year-old supermodel Russian philosophy studying, literature reading, naturopath wife, who's not incredibly difficult. I'm dreaming about winning lotto too here. She's going to be difficult if I get her. Okay, so next up, this is probably one of the biggest points of all. The younger generation of men is fucked. They are completely gone. They are androgynous. So many times the women are more masculine than the men. I was out at a jetty in a third world country in Indonesia. It's this beautiful jetty at sunset. And they'd boarded it up for some reason. Maybe, I don't know why. And yeah, so there's this really attractive blonde girl who's climbing up the thing. Her little pathetic boyfriend was standing there. She figures out how to climb up. And then he sort of carefully, and she's, "Oh, be careful there, there's nails," and that sort of thing. Then she eventually puts her hand down and helps him up safely. This guy was like 6'3". He had a beautiful face. I don't know how old he was. Somewhere between 22 and 28, probably maybe 25. She was probably about 23. And then and then I just look at it. Whatever. I'm not saying I'm Michael Jordan or something, but I just look at it. I put one foot on there, then just sort of jump over like that, like I was hurdling it, pushing myself there. Then the girl looks at me and goes, "Who's that old guy with the grey beard?" And then it's just that she immediately starts paying attention to me because I wasn't a pathetic wuss. And yeah, so anyway, I get to the end of the jetty, and because she told me about the nails, I said, oh, would you like some photos together? So they got a bunch of photos. And then as soon as the guy got his Instagram photos, he wanders off, and she's left at this beautiful sunset all on her own. I'm like, yeah, I should come and sort you out tonight. I didn't. But yeah, it's just the younger generation of men is completely gone. They're completely gone. They're completely gone. When I do these panels of all my model female coaches, talking about the guys they're dating, they can't get it up. There was a 26-year-old swimsuit model, and their dick doesn't work because if she's not being packed forcibly had sex with by a football team or a biker gang, that the young generation doesn't get turned on because porn has warped their brains about what sex is, and especially what love is and what beauty is, so profoundly. Look at a lot of these younger guys. They want girls with these plastic faces and these huge, stupid-looking lips. They're completely ruined the younger generation. And it's so good for us as guys who grew up in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, possibly even the 90s. We played football, we played sport, we did stuff at lunch, we got into fights, we climbed around on buildings being constructed, we climbed trees. They just said, "Oh, I posted something to Instagram." It's so easy beating these young guys. You can't even believe it. I mean, some of the boyfriends, I'm just like, oh, I don't like stealing guys' girlfriends because it's really immoral given whatever skills God helped me get. But it's just like, they're just not attracted to men their own age. Yes, there'll be an exception. Some guy had a horrible childhood as a cage fighter and an achiever as well. But then they're never, ever, ever, ever going to get this guy in a relationship because he's going to have, more girls than a week of Sundays. It's an old saying. The food they eat is horrific. Their testosterone, their health is being damaged. Whatever the euphemism, Lord knows how many medical interventions they're getting in the Western countries that just destroy their testosterone, destroy their psychological health, destroy everything. And yeah, they grew up on social media. I've covered that bit. And I haven't even mentioned the biggest thing of all. I don't know. It's Elon Musk. the woke mind virus, the crap that goes through their head, some of the stuff that comes out their mouth, how completely irrational and stupid it is. Like, they're ashamed of their penises, they're ashamed of being men. It's like, yeah, and you guys, I serve and Tess serves, you're in your 40s, you're in your 50s, some even in their early 60s. It's like, we have something they do not have. We had a proper upbringing. We weren't bludgeoned with chemicals and whatever else like these guys. We didn't grow up looking at social media. It's like, we've got this huge advantage, but you guys think, oh, I'm too old, she'll never, I've got some gray hair, no girl under the age of 40 is ever going to touch me. It's just complete and utter nonsense. I always like to tell stories. A client I coached who was a doctor, not a particularly attractive guy. He was like 5'11", fairly masculine, but not a particularly attractive guy by any stretch. Because of the success, he was in a marriage with a girl who he was walking around eggshells the whole time. Basically, his marriage was excruciating pain. From memory, he had 3 sons. He only was there for the sons, and the woman was abusing him for like 15 years. Where he just, I'll be a good dad, and when the sons have gone. So anyway, he's sacrificed everything in life for his sons, and now the sons have moved out of home. He's left the wife, and yeah. He's when I taught him, he's dating 22-year-olds and 25-year-olds and 23-year-olds, got 27-year-old. He might have even gotten to teenage years, if I remember the story right. And can anyone guess what happened? Can anyone on YouTube guess what his sons have done to him? They've rejected him. They won't talk to him anymore. They think he's a creep and a pedophile and a pervert. Like, if your mum and dad divorced after your dad did a great job of being a father, I'm talking to all you guys out there, and your dad starts slinging hot pussy, 23, way better than you could get, would you be like, Dad, you're an asshole, you're a misogynist, you're going to go to hell? Or would you be going, Dad, you're a legend. Come out to the bar with me, man. I'll show off my old man. He can approach some girls for me. So yeah, hopefully this is resonating with my audience. Yeah, so Tess, do you want to add anything to that? Particularly if you look at the guys who are like 25 and 28, they're not even men anymore. They're just androgynous. I won't make any sort of...
I think one of the biggest issues is that, as society progresses, we're more and more reliant on communicating through devices, and people are losing interpersonal skills, face-to-face interpersonal skills, and that's true for everyone as things progress. But for the younger generation who've actually been brought up with this, they never had it to begin with, so they don't know anything else, and it becomes you see so many young men who are lost, not knowing where their place in society, and I mean, you can just see the rate of young suicide that's increasing. It's because without that sense of belonging in society, or knowing what it means to actually be a man, all these men are left thinking, well, I don't belong, and they don't know what it does mean to be a man. And that's where this whole all these issues with gender that are emerging now stem from. It's actually really horrifying, and it's really, really sad. But what it means for you older guys is that it's actually a huge advantage for you. So really, really sad where the world is going. But I guess if we can see through that and try to work positively towards a future, that would be great. For you older guys, use this to your advantage, because you have the skills to fall back on. You have you were brought up with masculinity, and that's what women are attracted to. So it's interesting. I think I strongly believe that sexual tension and passion and sexual dynamics, a lot of that does depend on polarity between men and women, polarity between masculine and feminine. And in the younger generation, in today's society, where everything's it's becoming like really leveled, women are taking on a lot of the more masculine roles, and men are becoming a lot more feminine, that it actually takes away from sexual dynamics in a relationship, as well as I guess things can still work if there's just a complete balance between the man and the woman in terms of that polarity. But it does take away from the passion. I think it makes it more just like a friendship, which is okay, but it's not very fun. And I think at the end of the day, when a man doesn't feel like a man and a woman doesn't feel like a woman, then they just start projecting issues on each other, and it's really not healthy. So women love to feel feminine, and I'm sure men also love to feel masculine. And when we're helping each other feel that way, that equals great sex and a great relationship. So that's something that you older guys, you definitely have an advantage over the younger guys. That's for sure.
Tess has covered so many amazing points here. I should have written them down. Firstly, you need to Google this or AI the stats. I believe men age 18 to 30, it might be 50% or 60% actually haven't had intercourse in the last year. So quick tip, if you want to get the love of your life, screw a bunch of girls. And then when you meet your love of your life, you're super confident, you're good in bed, your dick works. You're not nervous around her. That's been the secret of getting all of the best woman of my life. These sort of balanced relationships, androgynous relationships, if you can call them, that they just don't work. The girl's just not attracted to you. It doesn't matter how much money you have. There's another great point Tess touched on that I let slip. I'll come back to me. You have been conned. You have been completely and utterly conned by some extremely good propaganda. You could argue you might not have been conned as bad as the women have been conned, but we've all been conned. Huge corporations, their PR people, their movies, which I just outlined at the beginning. It's all divide and conquer. It's all divide and conquer. The economic benefits of dividing and conquering men and women are huge. What's the world like today? Jew and Muslim, Christian Muslim, Hindu Muslim, Russians and Americans, Russians and Europeans, black and white, white and yellow, white and brown, left. What would you call it? Left people, conservative people, left wing, right wing, and most importantly of all, men and women. With our generation, if you're sort of born around the time I am, you're between 40 and maybe 65, 70, we have experienced a full frontal assault on masculinity, femininity, and the nuclear family. Now, it's really good for corporate profits, as you can tell by the S&P in this time. But it also keeps us lonely, insecure, divided from other human beings, stuck on our devices for so much of our connection. It's a really easy world to control, and it's a really easy world to have us work much harder, pay more taxes, buy more to increase our status to try to meet men and women. So this shit is great for the economy. It's great for the economy. But I've listened to podcasts with some woman I was following for a while, and she interviewed all these people. She interviewed the editor of Cosmopolitan in the early 70s. And this woman confessed she was told by her bosses, come up with all these stories about some woman in buttfuck nowhere in Arkansas or Ohio who, work as accountants, who have 6 guys on the go. They've got 6 boyfriends and having these incredibly sex lives and these high-flying careers. According to the editor of Cosmo, it was just all made up. So, and then if you look at certainly some of the movies I talked about with, Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant and the iconic Hollywood movies, compared to the movies today, there was a movie that I think won the Oscar where this woman walks up to a guy because she's pissed at him and she kicks him full on in the nuts. I'm just like, what? You could jeopardize his ability to have family, like a really hard kick. And then if you look back to some of the things that Sean Connery and Humphrey Bogart did physically to women. It's like the worm has turned. There's just been a complete turnaround. So don't think the vast divide between men and women that exists today with pickup artist nonsense and these days sort of red pill extremes and the wacky woke feminist nonsense. I don't think that's an accident. If you look at the people who've promoted it, New York Times, it's in some senses it's not. So Tess, I don't know, do you have any friends who are like high-flying corporate women who get to like 37 and then just want to jump off a cliff, or do jump off a cliff? They're stuck with their cats and their red wine, watching Sex and the City reruns on their little inner city balcony, just looking at the razor blade and going, ah. Do you have anyone in your peer group like that? I know there's a lot of them.
No, maybe not to that extreme, James, but I definitely have friends in their 30s who are, like freezing eggs and worrying about what the future might look like for, in terms of, having a partner and children, that sort of thing. Yeah. Not anyone who's surrounding themselves with cats or like, having dark thoughts. But yes, I do have friends like that.
She probably wouldn't concede she was having dark thoughts. She might. I've coached 40, 50 psychologists as a dating coach. Many of them said I helped them make more money as a psychologist. Not me, Tess and Natalia and Jackie and everyone else. But yeah, the saddest human being that they ever meet is a very successful woman who's still beautiful, who is extremely beautiful in her 20s, who's ticked the box. She's got the German car and she's holidayed in whatever, St. Bart's or Saint-Tropez or whatever, maybe not that extreme. But she doesn't have the man, and she's 38. A sort of a friend of mine, this is a girl I know quite well, she takes off and does an MBA at Columbia in the States when she was 36 or something. She just wanted to finish that, and she thought she was going to get her man after she finished her MBA at Columbia and have kids successfully. I'm like, it's the poor person thinking they're going to get their Ferrari in their beachfront house when they win lotto. It's just, can't you do basic maths? You got into an MBA program at Columbia and a high-level corporate job. Can't you even think, woman? It's like, yes, they can, but they've just been so brainwashed. It's insane. Tess, we've disrespected our regulars. I think we've got a bunch of comments there. So if you can use your $1 billion model smile to say hi to everyone. I don't have
hi,
one.
guys.
I've got a little tiny mouth. Sorry, Tess.
That's all right. Thanks, guys. Hello to all of our new viewers and our regulars. We've had a couple of cool comments come through. Bungalow Logic says, I'm saving to watch later. It's very late where I am, but you both give awesome advice. Thanks. Thank you so much. We love hearing positive comments. We it really helps us do what we do.
We're YouTube virgins. We don't really know what we're doing. So if you say anything nice to us, it means a lot. I've heard
thanks, guys.
4,000 times my boot camp's insane, but I'm not very good on YouTube yet. I got to work on my YouTube.
Pat says, I have a full head of grey hair, and I think a lot of women find that very attractive. So that's great. Awesome to hear, Pat.
Sorry to interrupt, Tess. This is a very, very, very important point. Okay, if you want us to do a better job for you, ask us more questions. I go to some trouble, and Tess goes to some trouble to figure out what we're going to say, and it's really good. It's really good. I've been doing this 19 years. Tess is the best female coach I've ever had. It's really good, and I've looked at all the people on YouTube. I know what I'm competing against in terms of quality of advice to change your life. But so many of the best bits of this, and you can tell there's a graph I can look at that sees how many people watch on the live one and the replay. Whenever it goes like that, I've probably said something good, or Tessa's probably said something good. 23 years old, most beautiful woman I've ever seen with my own eyes. I was in love pretty quickly, and she was an angel. I was talking about how my job in finance was so stressful. I was starting to get grey on the sides at 31, like really grey, getting a bit grey at 29. And I said, when I started traveling without improving my diet, I think that actually started to go away. Then she looked at me with the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen in my life and goes, oh, I can't wait till you go grey, honey. It means you grow up and be a man. And you're not just playing around like a kid anymore. So many women, if they want a relationship, have that in their head. They want grey hairs. They look for grey hairs. Again, if you look back at what was happening in the world in terms of media and movies, I don't know why I remember this. I watched the Brady Bunch as a kid. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I think everyone of my generation did. It was probably it was the Seinfeld of the time. And there was a scene where I think the housekeeper goes, she describes her perfect man. She goes, oh, he's got to have a lot of grey on the sides. So yeah, it's just like grey hair can be very, very sexy. Now, I don't know how many of you are sort of 55, you still want to date the 25-year-olds, like some people. But yeah, I'm guessing most of you 55-year-olds, you're more in the late 20s, early 30s, maybe even 40s target market. Those women want grey hairs if they've got half a clue, because it means they're not going to fall in love with you, and then you'll go, would you take a look at that? And go leave them for something. I'm jumping ahead, but the greatest love connection I've ever had with a human being, I completely screwed that up because I was probably more interested in travel when push come to shove, and the little problems amplified in my mind. No, I'm going to go to Pakistan. No, I'm going to go to India. So yeah, one of the other things I don't think I'm covering tonight is women, from Tessa's age, she probably looks 8 years younger than she is, they want a guy who's a bit mature, because that cuts massively down the chances they'll get their heart broken in their mind, their evolutionary brain. And they're not going to have to be a single mother, which is probably a horrible thing for most women. Anyway, Tess, get back to comments. Thank you for that, Pat. Yes. And Pathan Slut.
Pat. Let's just call him Pat. And moving on, Bungalow says, I'd want the boys to call me Wing Dad. I'll show them how it's done. I think that was in relation to you saying how would you respond if your dad was dating hot young women after he'd done a great job of being a dad. So Bungalow saying, I want the boys to call me Wing Dad. That's awesome. And Stavros is asking, what age group of girls can a 45-year-old man date? And the answer to that is any women. You can date whichever women you like. I mean, older than 16. If they want to date you, you can date them.
18 in the US.
Oh, 18 in the US. There you go.
14 in many parts of Europe. We won't talk about countries where it's a lot lower than that, because that's disgusting. Just to be on the record, I need to say this. Having slept with a lot of girls and dated a lot of girls, I consider pedophilia as the most horrendous crime against humanity, simply because of the multiplier effect of the damage that person does. I'm aware it's like a condition, it's some sort of a sickness they have, so I do have some empathy, but drug dealers, murderers, bank robbers, whatever the jail's full of, I consider the pedophiles potentially the worst of all. I could probably come up with some other people I won't say publicly, but yeah, it's the worst crime ever. So whatever my jokes are, or whatever I talk about sleeping with having threesomes with an 18-year-old when I was in my 40s, yeah, some people might not like that, but I think the act of pedophilia is like one of the most hideous things a human being can ever do, not just to that person, but to society as a whole. So yeah, I just want to get that straight on the line. It's disgusting. But having said that, the word's misused to drag people down who certainly weren't that. Okay, more comments. Did you answer that, Tess? Do you want me to jump in?
No, I did answer that. Yeah.
I might just, again, the questions are very good. The greatest woman I've met in my life, when she was, I'm not saying we should be doing this today. This is from Russia. The greatest woman I've met in my life, when she was 14, she started dating a 28-year-old. And she ended up breaking up with him when he was 16. And the reason she broke up was he wanted to marry her. So yeah, this is just what has happened for a long, long time before the media turned on it. I'm not approving of that relationship, but that guy probably contributed massively to the fact that she was such an extraordinary girl. Many of you are old enough to remember the song Alanis Morissette. What's it called? You Ought to Know. She wrote that about a guy way older than her. And I mean, he made her famous by giving her the material for that song and helped her grow massively as a human being and an artist. But then just in the last couple of years, after years of therapy and brainwashing, she turned on him and she thinks he's some sort of monster after being crazy in love with him. I don't know why I did that there, but that was quite useful. Yeah, you can date whatever you want. I mean, in my view, 22 is fine. I mean, there's I dated one girl who was 18 who was the greatest manipulator of human beings I've ever seen in my life. Who was remarkable, apart from being completely fucked up because of drug addictions and a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, just whatever age you want, not pedophiles. Certainly, yeah. In my view, they've got to be out of high school. They've got to be out of high school. That would be that's my main philosophical thing. I'm not aware of ever going below that age, and I just made that decision morally before I'd even slept with anyone, but I just thought that's wrong. Anyway, we're getting distracted. Any more comments, Tess?
Wayne's saying, definitely relating to James, stuff you're saying is so true, but we forget or we don't realize it. Thanks, Wayne. That's awesome. I'm glad to know you agree with what we're talking about. For anyone new here as well, if you're resonating with what we're talking about, please like and subscribe the channel. That'll help us a lot. Let's see. Hey, Adam. Adam's just saying hi, one of our regulars. David's saying, I've noticed in the last year, I've had more women, mothers in their 30s, checking me out. Great. Awesome. Good to hear. I think when women are in their 30s, and some mothers even with kids, I think they become a lot more open to actually approaching men, etc., because they're probably past their peak, I would say, in most cases. So maybe not getting as many men approaching them, which is why a lot of older women do become very confident with approaching men and checking them out when they get into their 30s and later. Luke says,
can we go back? That was an excellent comment from David. How do I put this? If you come on my boot camp on the Friday and you're a wee bit nervous, even though you've done 16 one-on-one sessions with my female coaches, one of the first things I say to you is 2 legs and no balls. And one of the next things I'll say to you is fatty 40s first. Hopefully I'm not going to get struck down by lightning for saying that publicly. Fatty 40s first. Just get started. A lot of guys, this is me, have this idea that they've never had much success with women, or maybe they had some money and they've had some hot girls, but they didn't really earn it themselves. So I think they've got to start with their princess. Just get started. Just get started. I can tell you a lot of my clients in their 40s and 50s, some of the first girls they start to get their experience and their skills up with, they're single mums. I mean, single mums are horrendously lonely. It must be one of the hardest jobs in the entire world, being a single mum, particularly in a country like Australia where inflation's just completely insane. Just get started. Another saying, I probably shouldn't say too much, it's lots of community service workers, girls who are very promiscuous. It was girls who are very promiscuous who got me where I am now. If I hadn't dated, in my first 10 girls I slept with, many of them were probably quite promiscuous. And a few of the most beautiful girls I've ever slept with, some of them are quite promiscuous. But the idea that she's not your ideal relationship candidate and you cross her off, which we tend to do when we're much older, I'm very guilty of that right now. the women I've dismissed in the last year because like, no, I'm not dating you because you say silly things about geopolitics, even though she ticks every conceivable box any sane man, even Leonardo DiCaprio, could ever have. So don't make your first job interview the job you really want. Don't be a perfectionist with women because you're going to suck. That was an issue I had early on. I thought because I've achieved this stuff in life, I deserve that. No, you succeed with women based upon your skill set, which we'll touch on in a bit. So just get started. And single mothers, you're a great resource. And if you have a 2-month fling or a 1-week fling or a 6-month fling with a single mother, even if you're seeing other girls at the same time, you might be the highlight of her life apart from doing a good job of being a mother. So just get started, go. She doesn't need to look like a supermodel. Just if you've got a good connection, just date, because you got to get started. And for guys on YouTube, this is like mission freaking critical. Even guys who do my boot camp, don't think you're going to get tests on your first go. Or whatever your test is, or whatever that is. It's probably not going to happen. And if you do get a girl like Tess on your first go, you're just going to fuck it up because she's going to expect so much more from a man than you can ever give her. And she deserves it. So even if you do manage to fluke her because you're in the same social group, or she's your best friend's sister, or for some reason she's having a lonely moment, she's on a dating app and she messages you and you have a great connection, you got something in common. Even if you do get her, you're not going to hold on to her. She's just going to break your heart. And we have a lot of guys on our boot camps who got their heart broken. We might do the more questions later because we got some great stuff coming off it. I want to stick to what we promised. Please, if you could remember Tess. If anyone hasn't been covered, whoever was next, if we could come back to you. Would you date yourself at 28? Let's look at me at 28. I just finished being a financial analyst and I was trying to become a salesman, financial advisor. And I was doing pretty good. And I was working very, 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 very hard. And the bank I was working for didn't want to give me an assistant until I started bleeding out my ears and vomiting up blood. It's like, we don't give assistants around here until you're in hospital. Is work you to death mentality. Eventually I got my assistant. I started making a lot of money. And my life consisted of drinking 20 beers on a Friday night, playing cricket, which is a very time-consuming sport, a very, very time-consuming sport. Most women don't want to date cricketers. Playing basketball, going to the gym, more drinking. And other than that, all I did was work. I hadn't read a book in years. I hadn't traveled. I didn't want to travel because it cost me thousands of dollars a day or something, whatever I was making at the time. So I might have ticked a bunch of boxes on the surface, or beautiful suits, but I was boring as batshit. My dick didn't work. I'd never had a relationship. I'd never had sex pretty much. So whilst you might look at some younger guy and go, oh, he drives a Beamer and he's tall and he's handsome, this sort of thing. If he is quite successful, he's probably useless. If he is tall and handsome, he's probably even more useless because he's had girls pick themselves up. So this doesn't apply to everyone who's watching my YouTube live or our YouTube live now, but it applies to so many of the guys we get coming to our boot camps getting coached. So many of them have achieved so much and they just don't feel valuable to women. They don't feel like they've earned the right to have a beautiful woman, let alone a beautiful woman who's 10 or 15 or 20 years younger than them. I might have shared in the last YouTube live, we literally had a celebrity psychiatrist who'd been involved in a bunch of celebrity breakdowns in LA. We had one of the hottest guys you could ever realistically imagine, who was incredibly masculine, body like a model, who was also incredibly handsome and interesting. And we had one of the first employees of a tech company you've all heard of, that I don't know how many hundreds of millions that's worth. And they just didn't have much, they didn't really think they were worth much when it came to women. I'm just like, what planet are you on? So again, being successful with women is a skill set. It's not like you achieve X, Y, and Z in life and it's just handed to you. Because in the cases where it is handed to you, you're going to get a toxic one, my friend. So you've really got to ask yourself, would you date yourself at 28? Like, by the time I got to even mid-30s, I'd traveled a lot. I'd read some books. I'd started doing yoga. I'd studied acting. I'd done all this stuff with my life. Now, not many people have necessarily done as much as me. But you've achieved success in life. You've earned good money. It's obviously a financial aspect to it as well. You can pay for dinners and pay for holidays, and you're not stressing about money the whole time. Just would you date yourself at 28? Would you date yourself at 22? Why would a beautiful 28-year-old girl want to date you at 28 or you at 32 compared to you at 50? Just keep asking yourself this question. I can't remember what we called this, the psychological hack of dating younger women. I should know the title off the top of my head. So much of it is, I just need to bludgeon your brain until you understand beautiful, intelligent, younger women who aren't completely brainwashed by society with lips like this, and they want to date you. They want to date you. In the most part, they don't want to date guys who are their own age or guys who are a bit older. They want to date some guy with maturity, with life experience. While we're talking about how much women have been brainwashed, I was at a bar in Bondi Beach, and we started talking to this girl who was, we call her an 8.5. She was beautiful. And turned out she was getting a boob job on the Thursday. I think it was a Sunday. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing it? And the dress she wore, you couldn't really tell how big she was. I said, what cup size are you? She goes, C cup. I'm like, I go, what? Are they really disgusting? Or something? I didn't use those words. Are they really gross or disgusting? Or she hadn't had kids? They were like, no. Why are you doing it? She goes, I just want bigger. I go, like, really, really sloppy and yucky. She goes, I don't think so. So I go, can I cop a feel? So I cop a feel. And I turned to this girl and go, you're a fucking idiot. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why would you replace that? I didn't see them, but I certainly felt them. That was like a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10 set of tits for any girl who's 28 or whatever it was. And she's going to fucking get silicone put in there in 4 days. And she's like, oh, and then a couple of my other friends copped a feel. This is what life is like when you hang out on boot camps with me. You get some girl letting a bunch of guys cop a feel to assess the merits of her boob job she'd spent all this money on. It's like everyone is so brainwashed. So, yeah, I don't know why I started on this, but hopefully that was some value. You're as brainwashed as this girl. I know you guys take forever to respond. Who here would encourage a 28-year-old girl with really firm, beautiful skin, really firm, beautiful breasts that weren't drooping at all? She was some sort of Eastern European heritage. Who would encourage her to get a boob job? Yes or no? Who thinks that's going to help her sex life? Because what women don't understand, because they're brainwashed, I've been through this with a few tall, skinny girlfriends, is you might get a boob job and it gets you more attention, but it doesn't get you a better boyfriend. It might get you a few flings with a few high-value guys who saw your tits and thought, oh, well, I'll have a crack at that. Attention doesn't mean love and connection and companionship. And women just don't understand this. I've had this discussion with quite a few girls. I understand people have double mastectomies and cancer, and there's a whole bunch of other reasons they might want it. Or a girl who's just got nothing and she wants to look good in a dress. Even then, I'm not sure. But yeah, anyway, I've become a women's dating coach when you guys want a men's dating coach. Any other points to dating yourself at I haven't even looked at my notes yet. I've just been on a rant. You may have had bigger biceps. You might have been a dunk a basketball like I could, or bench 100 kilos. You possibly had better abs. You probably had less body fat. You certainly had less gray hair. But you were dramatically more insecure than you are now in 9 out of 10 cases. You had little or no relationship experience. most of you, if you're an Australian or an American or an English or an Irish or a Swedish or a Norwegian or a German, you're still binge drinking the whole time. Many of you are into drugs that aren't the sort of hallucinogenic good ones, in my opinion. Many guys, and certainly I played cricket at a pretty high level and basketball at a reasonable level, you get this mentality, bros before hoes, bros before hoes, bros before hoes, which many guys in their 20s and even early 30s still have. You probably had no money. If you did have money, you were working, unless you came from a very wealthy family or something, you had to work your entire life and give your soul and most of your life in your 20s to get it. Most of you had never traveled. If you did, it was just a Kentucky tour or a drunken weekend a week in Bali. You might have had a few hobbies, but you were never really passionate about them. You never really got to dive into a lot of hobbies that women find attractive, like yoga and health and travel and maybe books and stuff. You really don't know who you are. It wasn't until I sort of traveled around India that I really discovered who I was, thanks to a whole string of women I dated who helped me get there. Some of them hurt me, some of them were good, some of them were bad. And this is one of the biggest of all. Tattoo this on your penis if you're looking for a beautiful 28-year-old, 25, 26-year-old, 35-year-old, 40-year-old, whatever age you're looking for. Just tattoo this on your penis. You have to remember this. One of the biggest reasons, in my opinion, that beautiful, intelligent young women don't want to date guys their own age, they've been so brainwashed they still do, is because if they do get a guy, their chances of keeping him loyal to her are probably quite slim. Simply because if they do get like quite a high value guy who's still in la demand, like every girl wants, it's every soap opera, every romantic novel, every romantic movie, like the Matthew McConaughey one I was talking about earlier. If they do get that guy, as soon as he sees her walk over there, he's like, oh my God, would you look at that? And, you know, we both go to the same gym. I'll have to bang her. There's that aspect. But even more, if you're like 28 or 32, you haven't had enough relationship experience to know. I mean, this might apply to Tess. I haven't dated her. Tess might be a prize. You leaving Tess for some other girl who's just as hot or even hotter than Tess or a few years younger than her might be the dumbest freaking thing you do in your life. Might be the dumbest freaking thing you do in your life, or completely get some toxic bitch who just wants you for your money or something, or just because you're hot. And it just ruins your life. You're letting go, having kids with this wonderful woman because you don't have that life experience yet. So I'm really ranting to you guys, but you got to understand the psychology of dating younger women, you know, when you're in your 40s, 50s, or even 60s, is you've got to understand how much a large chunk of them want you, despite all the propaganda we're subjected to. Anyway, rant over. I think we'll move on to next. Do we have competence versus competence? Just tell me if you want to add anything, Tess.
There we go, yeah. No, I think you covered that one, James. Yeah, I completely agree. Just think about who you were as a 28-year-old, and do you think that's attractive to women compared to where you are now in terms of your maturity, what you've achieved in life, your experience with women, etc. So, you know, it's a really simple way to prove to you guys that you have what women are attracted to. Go ahead, James.
Or can get it. Social coach can give it to you. In nearly all cases, it doesn't matter if you're 5'1" or you got a whole head of grey hair. It was a 5'1" guy in our last boot camp who was very, very happy. Okay, competence leads to confidence, and then in today's world, insane success. So you guys have all pursued women by working hard at school, studying hard, going to a good university, maybe getting a trade and working really hard, trying to run your own business, doing a bunch of postgraduate education, slaving away for a corporation or slaving away in your own business. In many of the Western countries, paying obscene taxes. The taxes a small business owner pays in Australia, it's just, you got your BAS, you got your super, it's insane. And then, you actually start making good money. They want half your income. It's insane. So yeah, you're busy doing this, thinking it's going to lead to this ocean of pussy at the end of the rainbow, which you don't really get to your 35 till you're rich. No. Brazilian guys, African American guys, most of Latin America, the southern parts of Europe, the Middle East, they don't try to get a hot girl by becoming what I call a master of business administration or an engineer or a doctor or a CEO or a successful founder. They don't try to get pussy and love and relationship and companionship and a mother for their children by becoming an MBA. They just become what I call an MPA, a master of pussy administration. The first thing they do, and they work it with their buddies, they've been hanging around black guys and Brazilian guys doing this. They're not talking about the football or the property prices or what's happening to crypto or the stock market or the footy. They're talking about what do you do with your tongue and your finger to make this girl sing? How do you approach the best? When's the best time to approach? Can you get huge results by dating single mums for a while to get your skills up? Should you start by doing fatty 40s only and getting a bit of sexual experience under your belt before you start the girls you really want? They're brainstorming this shit while those dumb white guys, and dare I say even dumber Asian guys, we're off trying to get MBAs and degrees and get our funnels right and, get our acquisition strategy right, thinking there'll be a good girl at the end. It does happen sometimes if you get enough of it, but it's often not a good girl. It's just a beautiful girl. So yeah, Tess and I crap on about it. Our regulars will know. The people that are in the boot camp will know. Touch, eye contact, body language, reading signals, having a date plan, making sure you're dressing appropriately for your height, your age, your colorings, your occupation, the sort of woman you want. Really figuring out what are your passions in life, some sort of level of sexual skill, understanding female psychology. Tess is number one by far, and passing women's tests. So getting better with women isn't something you're born with. It's not luck. It's not tall, handsome. It's certainly not money. It's not a Ferrari and a big black dick. It's having the skills, just like fighting. I keep going on about Conor McGregor or Caleb fighting some 100-kilo bodybuilder. They're going to murder him. They're going to destroy him. I mean, the tear his ankle round 3 times before the guy even could move a bicep. So yeah, competence. If you want to get better with women, there's a set of skills you need to learn. End of story. You can argue with me till the cows come home. Unfortunately, you're not going to win that. You're not going to win that argument. You may have had a friend whose dad was a salesman, or got around some guys on his football team who had some idea. You might have had a bit of a head start over other guys. Yes, if you're above 6 foot, that gives you an advantage actually getting sex and getting noticed. But yeah, you just got to learn a skill. If you're not that attractive, then you're just going to have to try harder. Just like a smaller guy is going to have to learn a lot more jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai to beat up a bigger guy. So yeah, any pushback on this from any of you, I would definitely welcome. What we might do now is tell you how we can give you those skills. Okay, we've got all the movie posters. We might get through that. Okay, this is the beautiful girl you see in front of you. She is a model. Tess, can you sort out the stages for me? Can you do that? Save my brain. And these are a bunch of the women she's the boss of. Maybe I'll do that. Oh, we're having a... No trouble. That one, maybe Tess can't do it from her end. I think I'll still put the pretty girl on top. So these are just some of the women that you can work with on Zoom and on our boot camp. 10 years, 14 years, 11 years, over 10. Yeah, so very experienced coaches, nearly all of whom are models. And this is one of the ways we help people in our community, which so much of our results comes through the community, as good as Tessa and I and that sort of thing. And this is what your Monday or Tuesday can look like, depending on Tessa's availability. We've usually got some. I don't put that in. You can see me without a grey beard. Yeah. Don't try to meet women in real life. Don't try to meet women on apps, because see my gray beard? It's gone. It's gone. AI can do that with this silly old fuck prompting Gemini, Nano Banana 3 times. My gray beard is gone. Do not touch an app in 2026 or you're an imbecile. You got an IQ of like 45. Please like and subscribe. So yeah, that's the girl you get to work with tomorrow. No doubt she's a beautiful woman, amazing coach. There's a whole bunch of others I won't go into now. So what's going to happen if you get a date with Tess? We're going to send you on a few approaches, send you on a few dates, whatever you're doing now. And Tess is just going to be writing down a list of all the mistakes you're making. If you do it next couple of days, I'll probably jump on as well if you book the right session. And yeah, so we're going to know exactly what's holding you back now. If you just do this, you will beat 95% of your competition. Not 99, but 95. Next time you're on a date, next time you start talking to a pretty girl, this 45-minute session will completely change your life. If you just remember 1 or 2 of the things Tess teaches you and 1 or 2 of the mistakes you're making. As I said, relative to this other 95% of guys, you'll master competitions, you'll never have conversation, you never have things to say, and you'll be able to talk to girls in situations where you never could before. A lot of your fear of anxiety of approaching, you're not good enough, will just eliminate once you start doing things a bit better. Just like your fear of being bullied will drop dramatically if you're a small guy who's been doing MMA with a good teacher for a few months. And the best thing of all is after this exercise, you'll be given a custom dating plan. Okay, this is what you got to work on. This is the stuff you're doing well. These are the mistakes you're making, you got to fix up. And this is the order you've got to fix them up. 1, 2, 3, 4. We usually only give you a top 3 and a few other points to work on. And yeah, whether you get any more help from us or not, you will start 2026 and you'll get results you never dreamed of before if you just do a half-assed job of implementing. If you're just there to look at Tessa's pretty face and you do nothing with it, it probably still will help you a bit, but I'm not promoting it would transform your life. From the bottom of my freaking heart, as a guy who struggled with women despite probably ticking a lot of boxes, it will be the best 45 minutes of your life in terms of who you marry, how many girls you sleep with, how beautiful they are, how un-Amber Heard they are. You'll walk away knowing how to beat pretty much every guy. I've touched on this. It is so easy. It is so absurdly easy to beat the average American, Australian, Dutch, German, British, Irish. It is a joke. Still probably Spain and France. It's so easy to beat the average guy. This is what your experience is going to look like. You should swap and put Tessa in there. That's Natalia. If you book this through the website, it literally is going to cost you $1,500, but you can do it tomorrow. Oh, it's not $1. It's $29. So $29, you can get this incredible experience with Tess. It would usually cost you $14.95. And yeah, if you're an Australian and you want our help, I would jump in soon because we're getting a surprisingly good number of sales from the tiny number of views we're getting on YouTube Live. So for you guys watching in the replay, just look at the comments and the description. You'll see the link there. Tess, while I figure out how to do the slides, did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, guys. Jump on. I'll just post the link in the chat now. Jump on. I've got some availability tomorrow and the following day. For any of you who are international, I know there's a time zone difference that might be a bit limiting in terms of availability. Just send an email through to info@socialcoach.com and we should be able to organize a time that will work better for you. Basically we just go through exactly what it looks like to approach a beautiful woman and what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and we give you a step-by-step plan about how to improve with women straight away. So it's one-on-one personalized advice exactly for you. And a number of the guys who I've worked with here are here tonight. Thanks for all your positive comments, guys. It's always great to see you. And yeah, looking forward to working with some of you guys in the near future too.
If you do want to help, we had a guy fly from New York, LA, and South Africa for the last event. You don't need to do that. We also have the option where Tess can give you something that's amazing just over Zoom, where you go on a whole string of dates with beautiful girls who are expert coaches. Let us get to the next point. Okay, smart girls want older men. Sorry. You are the prize. You are the prize. You've got to get this into your mind. You have to get this into your mind. Compared to you at 22 or 28 or 32, hopefully you've accomplished some things. You've had some sort of a career. Many of our clients have had a decent career. Yes, you have some money, you have some capital. Much more importantly, you have life experience. You've done stuff. Many of you, like some of the guys we get, are just unreal. The amount of stuff they've done with their life, even though they think they're a complete loser with women because their last girlfriend their last wife was a complete bitch. I've got to be careful what I say, but I had one of the most desirable, whatever he was, 48-year-old men you could ever imagine in your life on pretty much every metric. Earn not multi-millionaire money, not like hedge fund money, but earn really good money, crazy smart, super adventurous, incredibly hot. I had him admit he'd just been through living hell with women because he didn't have the skills to actually get the women he wanted. He just waited for the girls who came to him. I mean, I know he'd had some very, very dark periods and had some thoughts about the value of his life. But he, once we gave him a few skills, Tess gets a huge credit for this. The female coaches were throwing themselves at him. One girl who's never been unprofessional ever on a boot camp in front of my eyes. She was a complete disgrace, just throwing herself at this guy relentlessly. And she had paid no attention to him till he did this exercise with her incredibly well. Many of you, most of our clients have done a bit with their life. You might not be Elon Musk or Michael Jordan, or you might not earn $500,000 a year or $1 million a year, but you've done stuff. You've done stuff you hadn't done when you're 28. This is something a lot of guys have to get through their thick head. Many of our clients these days, they've raised a family, they've got kids, or they've even been married for a while, and they think, oh, no girl's going to want me, particularly a hot young girl. I've already got 3 kids. It's just going to be this huge amount of baggage. No. A lot of young women, 20s, early 30s, I honestly think, given my network of female friends, and even some ex-girlfriends, I think many of them want the established guy who's got a family. Because if you've done an even half-assed good job of raising a family, and you've already had a marriage or a long relationship, you've got vast amounts of experience. Guys who haven't had that don't. So I'm not going to swear on the Bible if you've had kids and you had a nasty divorce, you're going to be a better partner. But I think similar to a bit of gray hair or some salt and pepper, I think a lot of women from 28 and above really value that stuff. I don't know what you've done, but yeah, many of you have read some books, made some money, done some meditation, done some yoga, done some hallucinogenics, just developed yourself as a person, had a whole bunch of friends of a variety of ages and occupations. Again, I haven't, which is one of the great regrets of my life. Just having kids, wow, such a difference. Probably I tend to be leaving with the most important thing of all. In my view, potentially the number one reason older men are more desirable to younger women is because you've been through some ups and downs in life. You've got this wisdom, you've got this philosophical intelligence. You understand if you lose your job, or maybe you have a bit of a health problem, or you have a relationship breakup with a girl who loved you. You understand that doesn't kill you. Life goes on. 3 months, 6 months from now, it probably won't even bother you, even though it puts you in this gigantic hole at the start. And what some of you learnt by reading the Stoics or reading great philosophers, some of you learnt through life experience. Sometimes the worst things, the most horrible things that ever happen to you are the stuff that make you the man that you are today. And I know that is 100% the case with me. Losing a job which would have made me stinking rich, a horrendous childhood, losing the love of my life. All this stuff is what made me the person I am today. So much so. So yeah, don't think you're old, you got grey hair, you got some wrinkles, you're not wanted. You're probably much more wanted simply because of that metric alone. Plus the fact the younger generation of men has been totally destroyed psychologically, physically, emotionally, mentally, in terms of their masculinity, in terms of their opinion of themselves as men. Not to mention the horrible porn they grew up watching. Tess, did you want to cover anything about that? Particularly some of the desirable guys you coach. I mean, the one I'm talking about now, I won't mention his name online. I mean, what woman could turn him down once you gave him some skill? We can't hear you, Tess.
Sorry, I just muted myself earlier.
Tess made a mistake. That's like 947 mistakes I've made, one Tess made. I'm putting that on the ledger. You might have made two.
I just sneezed something on and I thought I'll just mute myself in case it comes, and then it passed. So sorry about that. Yeah, no, I think...
but they wanted to hear you. Anyway, back to the client from the last boot.
No, that's all right. Yeah, so the problem is that pretty attractive guy. Yep, definitely a lot more attractive than average. And the problem was that, as James said, he just wait for women to approach him, and the kind of women, the kind of high value women who he's looking for, they're not the kind of women who are approaching men, because they're probably inundated with men approaching them. So yeah, who's left? The women who've got nothing to lose, who are just putting themselves out there, etc., just going for it. And yeah, those are the kinds of women he was getting stuck with and having a lot of issues with. And yeah, for a lot of the other guys as well, you might not be the most attractive guy, but you might have a lot of the qualities that James has spoken about. A lot of the just life experience. You're cultured, you've traveled, you know who you are, you've been through hard times in your life, and that's really made you who you are. You have a high level of self-esteem, or you at least know who you are, your deeper values. You know what you want in life. These are all qualities that women love. We love this stuff. So you don't have to be the most attractive guy. You just have to see what your value. Okay, so for a lot of you guys who don't see that, I hope this is really opening your eyes to show you that you have a lot of qualities that women are looking for, and that younger men, especially in today's day and age, are lacking. Yeah.
It's quite interesting. I don't want to put you in a funny spot. Tess, you said he's well above average. He went out on the Friday of the boot camp. I approached the hottest girl in the bar, and she kind of liked me, but she was drunk. She was like 19 or 20 or something. I'm 54. I can't remember. He was 48 or something. Then she walks up to talk to me, and then she looks at the guy next to me, and she just grabs him. She just grabs him and pulls him by the hand over to her friends and kisses him for the next hour or something. Yeah, I thought the guy was like stupendously attractive to most women. Was it because he had all those bracelets and that Playboy stuff? Because he's super masculine and adventurous. What actually turned you off him?
Okay, yeah, maybe it was some of the his style that kind of turned me off a little bit. He's an attractive guy. There's no doubt about that. But for me as well, I've dated men. I've dated really attractive men. I've dated like male models and really attractive men who are superficially attractive. But to me, I almost I don't really feel like I'm attracted to people once I get to know them, because oftentimes when I've dated those really attractive guys, they've been lower quality sort of men when it comes down to it, and it's for the same reason. It's because they've never had to have skill with women, because the women who are desperate or who put themselves out there just throw themselves at them, and they just have a constant line of women who are just just at their beck and call. So they've never actually had to put any effort into a relationship or into understanding female psychology, because once things get difficult, they just go, oh, she's damaged or something, let's move on to the next woman. And women often have these high expectations of them because they think, oh, this guy, I don't know, he's hot, he's been with a lot of women or whatever, but they don't realize that it's actually just because women are throwing themselves at them, and they just have no idea. So I've experienced that firsthand for sure.
Yeah, it's not often. Oh, it's happened. It would have happened like more than 10 times. But for a guy on our boot camp to just have, like, in this case, the hottest girl who was way under half his age, just grab him and start making out with him. So yeah, he was a pretty hot guy. Actually, I think Tessa's touched on something quite interesting. I'm not saying this applies to her. In my experience, many of the hottest women are almost turned off by really hot guys. There could be a bunch of reasons. Legitimately, some of them might not like the fact that a guy gets much more attention than them. It might be because they're very aware how that guy makes them feel in their panty region. Because this guy was very masculine as well. He wasn't just some sissy male model guy. Not that all male models are sissy. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the most beautiful women almost revolt against really hot men. If you look at the guy Adriana Lima ended up with, I mean, Jesus Christ, he's got his eyes. My eyes are probably too close together. His eyes were like there, whatever. She's so beautiful. Couldn't really see. Mind you, she was so beautiful. She went to the wrong surgeon. That lovely Brazilian girl, I can tell you that. Actually, I was thinking about this today. While we're on the subject, if you look at the supermodels of the 80s and 90s, the iconic supermodels, Christy Turlington, Linda Evangelista, Claudia Schiffer, a bunch of others, Naomi Campbell, Elle Macpherson. How many of you guys today would still want to bang them? Anyone? Who wants to sleep with Elle Macpherson? For the Americans, Elle Macpherson. For the Australians, Elle Macpherson. Who would want to sleep with her today? I mean, have you seen like the iconic supermodels, I think, of the 90s? I certainly wouldn't. Christy Turlington is still a very beautiful woman. I don't think she's had a lick of surgery. But yeah, I could look at her and go, man, she's gorgeous. But I don't want to have sex with her. Whereas if we do the opposite thing and we think about Brad Pitt, George Clooney to some extent, like he'd be so boring in bed. Even Tom Cruise, he's weird. I'm sorry. I mean, Sean Connery, Jesus Christ, the guy was sexy when he had his fucking his shit bag hanging off him in a hospital with cancer. The girls still wanted to bang Sean Connery when he was close to dying. It's an exaggeration, probably not my best attempt at humor. But yeah, it's like the iconic models or even the iconic actresses that you guys drooled over, all these Sports Illustrated swimsuit models. Some of you guys might have pleasured yourself looking at before we had proper porn on the internet. If you look at those girls now, it's just like, oh God, no way. You had too much surgery, dear. Or it's like, no, you're a 55-year-old woman. You look like you're a good example of one, but I don't want to have sex with you. Whereas, I mean, what girl's going to turn down Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio, apart from girls who are intimidated by their beauty, fame, etc.? So again, I'm just trying to bash you guys over the head with a baseball bat to make you understand you've been brainwashed. Smart girls want older, confident men. I should have put confident in there. I screwed that one up. So yeah, I don't know how to. We've sort of covered this, to be honest, with all the stuff we've done. There's very little upside for a beautiful woman in her 20s or early 30s to date a guy her own age. In most cases, there's very little upside. He's too immature. He hasn't lived much. If he's really desirable, he's probably going to leave her. There's just this very little upside. Whereas as older guys, there's huge upside. If I meet a girl I'm crazy about now, I'm not going to screw up because some hot girl throws herself at me. I can assure you of that. I've made that mistake before. Tess, did you want to add anything to that? Any stories from your friendship group or anything like that?
Yeah, I think, like I said, at the beginning of tonight, in my early 20s, I had two friends who were dating guys in their 40s, and it was for the exact reason. These women are highly intelligent women, who just couldn't be attracted to men their own age because they weren't on the same intellectual level, and especially in terms of emotional intellect or intelligence. So super frustrating, and that's why, they were dating older men at that stage. And one of them is actually still dating a man who's getting close to his 50s now. Years down the road. So it's exactly what James is saying. It's so frustrating for women who get into relationships, and I found this myself as well. From a young age, being so frustrated with the guys I was dating my own age who were just partying and just had no focus, were irrational and just so boyish. It was, and it's really unsexy as well when you're in a relationship with a boy who is you're not connecting in these ways, and then you start to feel like his mum, so that can be a huge frustration for women who are more emotionally mature.
I'm in my late 40s dating girls, and they still think that they're my mum, even though they're 18 years younger than me or something. It's like, when are you going to grow up? I don't know. When I have a family, maybe. Just to give you some metrics from my life, I'm just thinking about the women I've been with. One of the best ones, she must have dated a guy who was early 40s at 23. That was her second boyfriend. The other one I've already shared, she dated a guy when she was 14. She dated a 28-year-old, stayed with her for 2 years. I think it was another older guy in there. Made her the most remarkable one I've ever met. Another one, when she was 22, fly around the world model, she refused to date guys basically under 40. She dated a couple of guys 35 or something. Just outright refusal. Never, never, never. Why would they ever do that? It's completely stupid. Many of these women, both their parents or one of their parents had PhDs. What else? Another one, a Polish one. She must have been 20 or something. I met her when she was 23. She had a relationship with a guy who was in his 40s. So it's just the way a certain chunk of women date. They want guys much older. I know what some of you are saying, like, oh, these guys were all rich. No, they weren't. Some of the fly around the world models, some of her boyfriends were much older than her. I'm not saying they were living in their mum's basement, penniless, but they just had normal jobs. They weren't particularly wealthy, but they were confident. They were interesting. Thinking of other great ones in my life. Yeah, another one that had early 20s, late 30s. I've made the point. A certain genre of woman does not want to date guys her own age. There may be some remarkable guy who's an exception to that rule, but 98% of us guys who grew up in the West, they don't want to date us. Just to round this point out, I've had a lot of Israeli friends. A few Israeli friends. I've dated a few Israeli girls. They're insanely hot, and some of them are pretty smart, and they're very intense. You meet Israeli 22-year-olds, and some of the men, they're a lot more mature than us because they go to the army and they have these intense relationships. They live in this intense situation. But us guys who grew up in the sort of affluent West is, the biggest problem we had in the last year was we smashed our iPhone or we crashed our car or some girl broke up with us. Us guys most of us don't really know what real struggle is. I mean, my childhood was horrific by most people's standards, but I wasn't on the Gaza Strip. I wasn't. I just saw a video on a very close friend of mine's Iranian. I just saw a video of Iran from the early 70s where girls are jet skiing in bikinis and they're not seeing through little slits out of black burqas, whatever they call it. So yeah, lots of countries, lots of parts of the world have been through shit, and maybe the younger men are much more mature there. But us Western blokes from America, Australia, England, we're immature as all fuck. Questions. We've been neglecting you. Again, if anyone wants to completely transform their life tomorrow or Tuesday, click the link with Tess. Guys watching the replay, I'll hopefully remember to put one in the chat. And yeah, it's hard to overstate how amazing these are. You're not even investing an hour of your time and just complete and utter change of your life if you just apply one or two things. Tess, do you want to get back to comments? Sorry, we've been ignoring comments for a long time.
Yeah, no worries. And yeah, if anyone has any comments or questions, chuck that in. We're here to help you. Let's see where we're at. I think we go. Luke says, I was at a wedding yesterday and I can assure you, bridesmaids like some grey hair on a competent, mature man. So yeah, great, Luke. It sounds like you had a fun night. Just going back to what James was saying, grey really doesn't hurt you guys. Like, the silver fox, that term doesn't exist for women. But women like older men. They like the silver fox is sexy.
I might just interject there. Thank you, Luke. That's a great comment. If you're the George Clooney-ish silver fox, you don't need his jawline or his money or his fame or anything. And ladies, George Clooney would be absolutely pathetic in bed. He's gay anyway. A guy I coached, hedge fund manager, retired at 31. He was sitting with his best friend besides George Clooney in a restaurant in France somewhere, stupidly expensive restaurant. And yeah, George Clooney never, ever, ever, ever stopped looking at his sort of Johnny Depp-like friend. So yeah, George Clooney would really suck in bed. I can guarantee you of that. But yeah, I use him as an example. If you're dressed nicely, your clothes fit, you've got a good haircut. George Clooney's like a haircut role model for so many men. He was for me for many years until I got lazy and couldn't be bothered getting it cut. So yeah, if you're a well-presented, grey-haired guy, you're probably more attractive than when you had a full head of dark hair. But if you're some slobby all over the place, if you got grey hairs coming out your nose, you're going to struggle, my friend. You're really going to struggle. Even the female chimpanzees probably don't want you. So that was my attempt at humor. They're incredibly promiscuous animals, and they're not humans, so I thought that was funny, but probably no one shared my Darwinian sense of humor. Let's move on to the next question before people sign off in droves at my lame attempts at being funny.
Adam says, just do it. Nike, just do it. James, 2 legs, no balls. Really great advice. Just go for the conversation. You have nothing to lose. I try to be in that mindset whenever I'm always happier when I am. Great. Yeah. So it's, just go for it. You've got nothing to lose. If you don't approach the woman, it equals nothing. If you do and it doesn't go well, it equals nothing, but you've learned something. And if you do approach and it does go well, there you go. So I couldn't agree more. And yeah, the more practice you get with women who don't intimidate you, then the easier it is when there is a woman who might intimidate you a little bit.
I might just interject there. That's a guy I know, and he's probably one of these 160 IQ types. And a thing a lot of intelligent guys have is they just have to get everything right. because of their education, the Western education system teaches you not to make mistakes. They're so scared of failure, so scared of failure. So yeah, that's a really valuable comment for you guys who, you know, are a fair bit smarter than average, because it's a joke, but it's true. The thing, a lot of my really smart sort of founder, finance, programmer, engineer clients, one of the best things Tess and I could do is give them a quick lobotomy, cut a bunch of that IQ out, get it down to like 85 or something more reasonable, and not stop being a perfectionist at everything, because that is a gigantic roadblock smart guys have. They try to get everything perfect because that's what you're taught at uni, at university and college. Go to school, study engineering, study medicine, study coding. Just don't make any mistakes. Don't make any mistakes. Because if you're building a building or building some big computer network and you screw up, you might cost millions of dollars. You might, you know, if an engineer screws up, planes fall out the sky and things break down and products don't work. So yeah, don't make any mistakes. Don't make any mistakes. That's a horrific education if you want to get better with women. Because the reason I'm sitting here telling you this stuff, which is hopefully a truckload of wisdom, it's because I've made so many mistakes. Even when I thought I was good, never thought I was amazing, and had a bunch of bisexual girlfriends running around the place who were 15, 20 years younger than me. I still made mistakes all the time. I just made more and more mistakes and learned more and more. So women is just going to be one big mistake, and you're just always in the wrong and you're always making mistakes. I'm not selling this get better with women thing very well. They're the greatest thing in life by far, I think, if you've been in love, but they're also the most painful, disgusting thing in your life. So you've just got to come to terms with this. And if this isn't your thing, I don't know, there must be some YouTube video on how to love the taste of dick, because that's really your main alternative, that or complete celibacy. Thank you. We might repeat that. Just do it. 2 legs, no balls. Fatty 40s first. Really great advice. Just go for the conversation. You have nothing to lose. I try to be in that mindset wherever I'm out. I'm always happy wherever I am. And yet, I was going to include this as a point, but I probably had too many. You're going to hear some no's. You're going to hear some no's. You're probably going to embarrass yourself occasionally. But if you want to learn to fight, do you think you're never, ever going to get punched in the head? Or probably hurt badly if you want to really learn to fight? It's going to happen. And one of the things a lot of my students do post boot camp is Tess, Natalia, and I, etc. We give them skills to get a girl way better than they've ever had before, in terms of hotter, smarter, whatever. And then she dumps them and breaks her heart because we made them so good at steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but they didn't really have the relationship experience to hold her or to keep her satisfied. And then she just got sick of it after 3 months and dumped them and broke their heart. And they sort of dropped back down. They're not even starting again. They're more depressed than they were when they were triggered to do the boot camp. But then, you know, they've got all this massive experience. They take Adam's corporate slogan, probably the best of all time, just do it. And yeah, they pick themselves up and they get an even hotter girl and they have a better relationship with her in most cases. So yeah, women equals failure. It probably in some cases equals misery. It equals your ego being pushed around. The first thing a woman does to see how much of a man you are is start bashing your ego a bit and see how well you take it, or if you know it's just a game. So yeah, great comment. Let's move on to the next one.
Ralph says, I've had a Turkish woman once for a while with fake tits. It felt weird touching and squeezing them. I was afraid they might burst. Okay, I think that was in response to James just talking about how focused the younger generation, men and women, are on appearance. And yeah, I think that's a lot to do with them being, you know, growing up around social media and yeah, thinking that yeah, you know, everyone just values each other based on appearance alone. And that's, yeah, it's the same for a lot of young women and men. So yeah, James was commenting on that, about how a lot of women are getting surgery, enhancements, etc., and asked some men's opinion on that. So thank you, Ralph, for sharing that. David, did you want to?
I might just add to that. Well, I don't know. if anyone can make a funnier comment than that by mid-February, we might have to give them some sort of a prize. So yeah, it's not that I laugh out loud. Yeah, I mean, just for does anyone here like fake tits? Because a lot of the younger generation do. And I understand there's situations where it may be a good move for a girl if she gets it done well. But yeah, they're weird. And I don't know. I haven't been with 20 or 10 or something. I've experienced that a few times. But yeah, to be honest, some of the times I've followed through and taken it to sort of the bedroom just to see if they make them any better. Sorry, the conspiracy theorist in me. I reckon they know how to make great fake tits. But the business model of cut, chuck a silicon volleyball in there, give them an upgrade every 5 years, I think that's too good a business model to give you the really good fake tits. So yeah, I'm sure someone's come up with better fake tits than they have now with the state of medical science and AI. I think humanity's solved bigger problems than giving a girl a great pair of fake tits. Anyway, enough of my nonsense. Let's move to the next comment.
Well, yeah, I think David was also agreeing, saying I'm more of an ass man. So thank you for that, David. John
Asses
says,
survive much better when girls age, by the way. So yeah, that's another tip.
So John was saying, I was dating at 18, married at 21, divorced at around 35. No experience at dating, didn't do the footy club thing. She said I spent too much time with the kids. That's interesting. Right. So, I mean, what was that? I guess that's quite interesting, actually. Yeah, divorced at 35. She said you spent too much time with the kids. That might just be an indication to me. I would say that maybe she felt neglected. I think spending too much time with the kids is a really strange thing to say. I think most women would want their partner to be spending time with their kids. I think it's just her way of saying maybe she felt a little bit neglected in the relationship. And, you know, perhaps you're a great guy, John, and that's the only excuse she could say, rather than saying, I just feel neglected for whatever reason. Could have been her own insecurities or something else, you know. So yeah, I think spending too much time with the kids is a good thing. Yeah.
Sorry, Tess, it's not often I say you're wrong, but you're largely wrong.
Okay.
I have not dated you, so I don't have first-hand experience, but based on our professional relationship, I think you're one of those women. Has anyone seen, we should do the unicorn thing again. Anyway, this guy did this amazing thing that got like tens of millions of views, and any girl who's over this much beautiful, who's underneath that amount crazy, is a unicorn or a tranny. So I'm pretty sure Tess isn't a tranny. She's a fucking good one if she is. She could be a unicorn because, you don't understand women who might be a lot more insecure than you or a lot more toxic than you. And I had a mother who was jealous as hell at my dad spending so much time with me. And it might have been because he had the most toxic fucking hot wife, worse than Sharon Stone in Casino. Oh, it's the movie show. You boys should go watch Sharon Stone in Casino in the next few days. That's possibly as good as some of our YouTube lives. It's going to give you a masterclass in what you successful, confident men get if you don't have the competence that leads to confidence, that leads to success. You use your incredible success and confidence in business to attract the wrong woman, and she fucking destroys you. She fucking destroys you. She destroys you and everyone you know. Scorsese, as we know, is obviously a master filmmaker. And yeah, Sharon Stone did a really good job. So I don't want to give away too much of what happens. But yeah, it's complete and utter destruction of everything this man had. So yeah, Martin Scorsese Casino. Martin Scorsese Casino. That's your YouTube live homework. Has anyone seen it, by the way? Has anyone seen Martin Scorsese's Casino? It's really underrated film. It's really underrated film. I mean, Goodfellas, Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, masterpieces, but it's up there. Actually, his best film, we'll do a quick movie show. His best film is The King of Comedy. That is unbelievable movie. Anyway, let's get on to getting you guys psychology fixed up and getting you a pretty young girl, not the movie show. But yeah, please watch that movie. It's a big help.
A few people are saying yes. David, George, thanks guys. Cool.
Watch it again after doing our boot camp or listening to us on YouTube, because I think you'll get a lot more out of it. It's a good movie anyway.
Yeah, so that, David, that's definitely you. And what's this person saying? Gravity KB. This world can sometimes be challenging for dating, but I feel like money and materialism play a big part. That's interesting. Do you mean that money and materialism play a big part in making it challenging? I think that's what you're trying to say. Yeah. This world can sometimes be challenging for dating, but I feel like money and materialism plays a big part. How do you interpret that, James?
Okay, this is a great comment. This is one of the comments of the night. Let me just read it again. This world can sometimes be challenging for dating, but I feel like money and materialism plays a big part. Gravity, you're 100% right. I'm not going to argue with you for 1 minute. And if you look at what Instagram has and dating apps have done to the world, it has not been a positive step forward for humanity. Because guys who can demonstrate wealth, particularly with a bit of a lifestyle that's often a complete fabrication or a massive exaggeration, guys who can do that are getting access to more women than ever before from all around the world. But here's what the red pill guys either ignore because it's not good for their YouTube growth, or don't actually understand. Yes, if you demonstrate all these things publicly on Instagram on a scale we've never ever been able to do before, you'll get a lot of girls showing interest in you. But in nearly all cases, it is the wrong women. And I'm something of a subject matter expert in this, because I've been surrounded by models for 19 years, longer than that, 25 years, when you think about my ex-girlfriends. But yeah, the girls who got guys, particularly off Instagram, I mean, Jackie, she's like, I'm never, ever getting a guy off Instagram again. It never works out. They always go toxic. They always the wrong guy. And then she does it again because, she puts her boobs up in her pretty face and thin waist, and guys are like, oh, hi, Jackie, I'm Snoop Dogg or something. Yeah, and you got these guys who can build a good Instagram. And I know a guy who, I know what he makes, 15 million a year or something in his 20s. But he's bitterly unhappy with women. Even though he's probably slept with hundreds of them by his early 20s whilst building a big business and managing a bunch of staff. It's because if you don't have the raw skill, you get laid, you get hot girls, but you get the wrong ones. And for anyone who's slept with more than 30 girls, let alone 50 or 100 or something, if anyone could answer, who here has had player's remorse, where it's like you go to all this trouble, you pick some girl up, particularly if it happens quite quickly, you don't really know her that well, it was just a conquest, which I might have had a few of, particularly if they're models, and you sort of come inside, you're like, oh, what the fuck did I do that for? And you're sitting looking at this human being you don't really care about, but, she's pretty. I sound like a gay person. Oh, she was really pretty. Yeah. It's player's remorse is not necessarily a good thing. Plus player's remorse, plus Me Too allegations these days. So, I mean, a guy I coached who lived in the most expensive street in Australia, Point Piper. I've coached a few guys from that street. He claimed, he may have done that. He claimed to have slept with between 300 and 400 women, and this guy had some of the most atrocious girl skills I've ever seen. He just did this corny pickup artist nonsense. But they come to his house, it's the house he was in, and that they see that, and they take their Instagram selfies off the background with Sydney Harbour Bridge behind him, and they just fall into his bed effortlessly. And this guy is more miserable with women than nearly anyone I've ever coached. And he had a girl who I saw him. Maybe he was 40, and I saw him. Then he started, or maybe 38, then he started dating this girl who, as soon as I met her, I go, that girl is fucking toxic and good at it. And then I saw him like a year later, and he honestly looked like he went from 38 to 45. The guy aged 7 years in the space of 6 to 12 months just because this girl poleaxed him. The dumb rich fuck, he waited, was it 9 months before he slept with her, and he took her to Africa and Europe and somewhere else on these incredible holidays and slept in the same bed with her. This girl just drove him batshit crazy. So yeah, he'd slept with 300 to 400 girls, some of them pretty attractive, but he was so clueless with women. So yeah, if you don't have the money, if you don't have the height, if you don't have the looks, this AI thing is almost good, because the social media revolution is going to get into trouble, because as I displayed with my beard, for me to turn this beard back to this color, that 2 years ago was probably a monumentally skillful, huge, expensive job with some Photoshop expert. Whereas now it's some dumb old fuck like me, just a few clicks on Nano Banana and it's done. So yeah, I think people are just going to run away from Instagram, and will certainly run away from apps and run away from Instagram. So yeah, if you don't have the looks you want, just get the skills. I sound like a broken down record, and try a bit harder. Next question.
Yeah, sure. Ralph said, James, you look better with the greyish beard. I think that's when we saw the AI version of you without the grey. So Ralph thinks you look better with the grey. Thanks, Ralph.
That's a fantastic comment, actually. Thank you. I should make a list of this. I don't follow him at all, but what's his name? Grant Cardone, the business guru. Like, if you look at 20-something, even early 30-something George Clooney, sure, he had that incredible jawline, but he wasn't like super attractive. I think it's when he aged a bit, because he's got slightly weird eyes, I think, for a male model. And he started doing the salt and pepper thing. I think that's when the guy got super hot. I don't know. I'm not a celebrity expert. There's like Sean Penn. There's so many guys, you see them at 50 and you go, yeah, he's above average. Then you see them at 27 or 32 with a full head of gray hair. You're like, you're kind of ugly. I should come up with a list before I say that. So hopefully the pretty young, smart girls are thinking that about me. I really don't think it's hurt me. I've had girls tell me to diet, and I said, I'm not doing that. I can't be bothered doing that. Sorry. And then still sleep with me. And in the case of certain female coaches I've employed, tell me I've got to dye my beard quite seriously, and then just hurl themselves at me and rub their tits against me constantly. So I don't know if it's hurt me that much. Another hack, if you happen to be fitter than average, but you clearly look like you're in your 40s or 50s, I think that's an evolutionary hack where the girl goes, oh, okay, I can feel this guy in my panties and he's clearly in his late 40s or 50s. This isn't real. It's because you're still healthy and you look healthy. And I think their monkey brain, their Darwinian brain goes, okay, so I'm computing my DNA survival mechanism inside my head or my cells is going, this guy could have been fuckable from age 16 or 17. He's still really fuckable in his early 50s. This guy's much, much more attractive than a 32-year-old guy or a 28-year-old guy who's hot. Because there's a lot of guys who are 28 and hot, they just look like weirdos when they're 50. So yeah, anyway, if any world-class evolutionary biologists are on the call, please feel to correct me. But that's my opinion. Next comment, Tess?
So Matthew says, nearly 50, I'm too old. So Matthew, I hope you have watched the entire presentation tonight, because one of our first points was you need to get over this mentality. You really need to get over this mentality. So, yeah, we've raised a lot of points for why being 50, the number 50 doesn't really mean anything to women. It's really a lot more about how well you can connect with her. Your maturity, your sense of self, your sense of purpose, your emotional intelligence, and as well as the skills that we talk about over and over again. So potentially, oh, here we go. And David saying, I'm 50 and definitely not old. Thank you, David. This is a mindset that you really, really, really need to break free of, Matthew.
Yeah. Dude, I can't see your face from there. You ride freaking horses. Do you realize how sexy that is to women? Do you realize how sexy that is to horse riding women who, I don't know, based on my sample size, might be a bit better in bed than the average regular girl? There's something to do with horse riding women. I don't know. I've had a few. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's like with the great. I haven't seen you. I haven't coached you. You might be. I'm not saying you are. You might be like hardcore autistic, and it's too hard for you. You ride horses, man. That's better than a Ferrari. It really, really. Yeah, I know some. What they call Oxbridge, Oxford and Cambridge, and they want to do better with the ladies. They want to get a beautiful Russian or French girl, not an English girl. So they go learn tango and salsa, and they learn to ride horses, and they learn to speak some foreign languages. This is what the wealthy elite of England do. I was friend with one for a while. One of the first things these guys do, wanting to get a better woman, is they learn to ride horses. They learn to do the tango. They learn all these things that are incredibly attractive to women. How many women, I mean, a girl I was dating, it didn't end up happening. I wanted to ride horses so that we could go on these horse expeditions. So yeah. Has anyone here ridden a camel? I nearly got castrated riding a camel. That's a specific skill that you got to get the testicles in the right place on that big hump. Otherwise, yeah, you can have some. I've ridden elephants. I don't know, I'm into riding animals. But yeah, just on that metric alone, if you ride horses, man, you've gone from like a 7 to a 9.3 or something. So yeah, so many guys think they're worthless as women. They think they're too old. They think all this stuff. But yeah, in some cases they're right. If you're chronically unhealthy, you might be right. But if you're pretty healthy guys, looked after themselves, you'd be astounded if you're dressed well and you get the skills and you change your attitude, how attractive you can be. Not to every single one of the women on planet Earth who's 25 or 28 or 32, but to a lot of them and to the ones you want. Yeah, if I find out a girl has never dated a guy a lot older than her and she's hot and we connect on a lot of things, that's like a bit of a red flag for me. It's not like a major one. Like she sees a psychologist every week and she's on a bunch of anti-anxiety, depression medication. But yeah, that's something I'd pay attention to if she's never dated a guy much older than her. Okay, let's keep going.
So yeah, Jeff also said, I'm 67 and I'm still young. Awesome. That's great
That's
to hear,
the attitude we want. Just do it.
Awesome. And okay, so
just 1 second. Sean Connery had his bowels in a bag, and he had pipes through his nose, and he was like 3 days from dying. There were still girls who wanted to bang him. So that might not be my best joke, but it's probably not that far from true. An ex-girlfriend of mine who was a fly around the world model, I said, who's the sexiest man ever? She was really into music. She's a very talented musician, apart from being a model. She was David Bowie. I said, he's not particularly attractive, and I believe he's gay. I go, you find him really attractive? Because she liked slightly more masculine men. She goes, yeah. And I go, would you have slept with him at 65? She goes, oh, yeah. Would you have slept with him at whenever he died, 78? Would you have slept with him 6 months before he died? He goes, yeah, probably. So these women and men are just totally, completely different. Who here who grew up in the 80s would have loved to bang Madonna? Put your hand up. You're like 15 or something then. Of course you'd want to bang Madonna. Who here would want to bang Madonna today? I don't think there's one of you. If you are, you're a geriatricophile or something. It's a real problem in old people's homes where they get these carers who want to fondle old people. You probably didn't need this information on your Saturday night, particularly if your parents are getting a bit older or you are. But yeah, that is a thing. That is a thing. Humanity never. Oh, Luke rode a water buffalo. Good on you, man. I've never done that. In Indonesia, there's a bunch of them. I might give it a go. You got those big horns to hold on to. Water buffalo make an incredible metaphor for the state of humanity today. If I walk up to a herd of water buffalo and I look confident, they will give way to me. If I do that, a lot of them will start running away from me. And like I weigh 75 kilos, they weigh 400 or 300, I don't know. And they've got these gigantic horns. But they're herd animals. They just follow the leader. They do whatever they're told mindlessly. Cows just obediently follow the next cow into the slaughter and they don't do anything. That's what most of you men are like. That's what most of you women are like. You haven't had a proper critical thought in years. You guys came here. Hopefully I did a good job of the subject line and the thumbnail of the beautiful Tess, and Tess did a good job of helping. And you're convinced, I'm 50, I'm past it. You're convinced, I've got grey hair. No girl under the age of 40 is ever going to want me. No girl under the age of 50 is ever going to want me. You've been programmed by people who want to control you and extract money from you and make you pay taxes, make you work harder and make you sad and insecure to think that way. If you only need to travel and look at other parts of the world that aren't the West, where their life is just completely and utterly different. Australian Aborigines, I don't know if I should even say it, the 80-year-old or 70-year-old leaders, they have a harem of whatever, dramatically younger girls. I'm not endorsing that for a second. I think it's grotesque. But yeah, the way we've been brought up in the West, we've been brainwashed. Just like a bunch of water buffalo or who will just follow the leader and be scared of a human when they weigh 4 or 5 times what he is. A huge herd of 50 of them will be scared of a human when they weigh 4 or 5 times what he is. That's a metaphor for you guys, particularly the last 30 years. You've been brought up and you've been thoroughly brainwashed by society, by movies, by capitalism, by advertising. And yeah, hopefully, it's such a cliche. Hopefully we can help you see The Matrix, which I thought it was an overrated film, but we won't get into that. Great script, but it was a bit boring to me. Any more questions before we sign off? You're giving us an early dinner. Apparently when the content's too good, no one asks questions. But we want to get questions. So we'll have to do a much worse job of the content in future, Tess. Just slightly facetious.
There's one more question. There's one more question. You just missed it. This one's a bit unrelated to the specific content, but George said, had a dinner with a female friend and out of nowhere I felt a spark. She was divorced 3 years ago and thinking of her romantically, but don't want to ruin the friendship. Any advice?
Oh, sorry. Tess, you can start. I was just getting some food into my skinny little ass. So.
Yeah, no worries. No, that's okay. George, I would say she was divorced 3 years ago. You've been friends for a while. You felt a spark, and you're thinking of her romantically, but don't want to ruin the friendship. Okay, you should definitely approach this. Don't ignore it, because if you felt a spark, likely that she did as well. But if you don't take the opportunity, it'll pass and it might not come again. So you definitely need to take the opportunity. How to take the opportunity? Again, just do it is one approach. You know, if you don't do anything, it may pass, and you'll never get your chance. But you also want to make sure that you have the skill. So yeah, this is something I could potentially help you with if you want to book in with me. Yeah, you want to think about your approach, and also if you're out on a dinner date with her, potentially think about how you can impress her with a date plan, and build this spark into something more. So that just takes skill. That's definitely something I can help teach you. Touch, eye contact, body language, conversation, style, etc. Yeah, if you're a little bit unsure whether she's actually attracted to you or not, then you definitely want to work on those things to increase your chances as much as possible. Yeah,
I
James,
absolutely love that question. Thank you so much, George Jack. I personally have not turned a female friendship into sex. Somewhat, I'm pretty good at this. I probably wouldn't want to ruin it. I'm not saying I wouldn't. I would have never become friends with a girl I was sexually attracted to. I don't think that would have happened. There's been a girl I was slightly sexually attracted to. I've said, no, I don't want to have more hassles with my girlfriends as trainers. I'm not going to fuck you, but come be a dating coach. That's happened to me. But for most guys who don't have crazy amounts of skill and experience, pretty much everyone watching on YouTube and many of our clients, if you're over 40 already and you've been like legitimate friends with this girl for quite a period of time, that is an incredible sign that this could be someone special for you. That is an incredible sign that this could be someone special for you. So if she's attractive enough that you want to stick one in her and you felt this spark, she might have been feeling this for a long, long, long time, but she's never followed through on it. And, you know, one of the advantages of being a man is if you're a bit healthy and you dress yourself well and do what Tess and I say, you age like fine wine. But also, it's your job to make the move. So just one of the best exercises I've ever found in my life is just sit down with a piece of paper, draw a T and go for and against. Now, let's assume you're 50 already. Yeah, I mean, just do it, man. You lose a female friend. I mean, you might lose her and then you might get her back in 6 months. I'd say there's far more upside than downside. Whatever. Click the link, book in a session with Tess. That might make all the difference in the world between you being some average American Aussie bozo and actually getting this girl. So if you are thinking about sticking your penis into her and you've got a really good connection with her, I don't know, if I was 50, I wouldn't want to be letting that go unless you had a lot of skill and you'd already slept with a lot of beautiful women. And yeah, I mean, I've slept with, you know, way more than my fair share of beautiful women. Most of them I just wouldn't date. For the students here, I think there's at least one or two. You see the girls that I have on my website. I tend to be much more attracted to girls from certain parts of the world. But yeah, one of them is just sexy as hell. I wouldn't want to date her for a month. Like, seriously, like trying to keep my hands off her when she was in her 20s. I deserved a Nobel Prize for that. But there's no way I'd date her. It'd be insane. And I'd probably say that for a lot of them. So yeah, if you do have a good female friend, that's a chance that she could be a better person for a relationship. And I'm not really scared, but I was going to meet someone up to my standards. I think to be a man and grow old and alone and have dinner with your buddies and watch Netflix and YouTube and jerk off to whatever porn's coming, or buy some Japanese sex doll with an Elon Musk Optimus inside it, or, you know, it's got a special thing that feels like a vagina. I don't think that's the sort of life I want to live. So without coaching you, without seeing you, if you're feeling sexual attraction from a female friend you're sexually attracted to and you're over 50 and you don't have insane skill with women, I probably wouldn't let that go. And you might get the friendship back in 6 months. You might not, but cost benefit analysis, someone I can grow old with, or maybe even spend 5 years with, versus, it's a bit uncomfortable with a female friend for a while. I mean, unless you try to, I can't say the R word, unless you try to forcibly have sex with her, I don't know how you're going to completely ruin the friendship. It could be if you have a relationship that doesn't go wrong, that goes savagely wrong, that could definitely ruin the friendship. But you never know, man. I would not let that go.
Yeah, I agree. I think that working on building the spark is important, but the fact that you're already friends means that like open communication would work really well as well. So like if you work on building the spark and also have the conversation where you just address that and talk about how important your relationship, your friendship is, then it's even if it doesn't go well down the track, I still think that the friendship can be maintained. Yeah.
It's my own life, but I think it would apply to many guys. Just to give you metrics, in terms of I'll call it spiritual connection, the sex we had, if you look at, the girl, the love of my life, I don't know how many, hundreds and hundreds of threesomes, everything you can really imagine in terms of that sort of fantasy within reason. I never got anywhere remotely close to being with the love of my life. I mean, the 8 of the 10 greatest sexual experiences of my life were with her. I have not come close. If you look at the connection I had with another human being, again, there's one girl where it's like a day with her was like a month with the best Australian girl I've ever had. In terms of like an incredible month with the best Australian girl I've ever had was barely a day with her. It's like Manhattan versus Manhattan just after 9/11 in terms of being the most incredible places in history, versus, where I grew up, Perth, Western Australia, or some little country town. It's like so much. There was so much. It's like a day with her was like a week or 2 weeks with any other girl. So yeah, if you do have a genuine female friendship, you don't want to let those things go. I'm happy I let them go because I was in my 30s at the time, and I'm very proud of what I've done for so many men. But yeah, I desperately want to find that sort of thing again. So maybe I move to Moscow, St. Petersburg, and maybe Budapest. I find what I look for. I need to improve bad Russian accent. Probably sound like Borat. So yeah, great comment, man. Great comment. Let's have
a look. There's another question from Nolan who says, Tess, what's the most common issue you find with dating older men, aside from them being concerned about their age, and how, if at all, did they overcome it? Okay, so I think I would say that the biggest issue would be a cultural issue in terms of, younger women being, interested in different music or different films or something like that, compared to older men, which is it's kind of the same as being in a relationship with someone, of a different ethnic culture. Sometimes there are communication issues, or you just have dissimilar interests, or but that's not what holds a relationship together. Deeper values, communication, etc., is what keeps the relationship, and also like sexual dynamics. That's what keeps a relationship together. And so yeah, how do they overcome it? Those are easy things to overcome. The fact that you might like different music or whatever, you just share those things with each other, and if you appreciate those things about each other, it's not really a problem. What do you think, James?
Agree. I mean, Tess did great. That would have been my number one too. I mean, yeah, I had 2 bi girlfriends for 4.5 years, and the one who was 18 years younger than me, she was always obsessed with some indie band, and they're the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, they're not. I mean, most of them will. And then she complains, they sold out, they went commercial. It was just a phase she went through. So and she's dating me, who refuses to read a book or listen to music unless they've been dead 100 years or something. Even filmmakers, nearly all the films I watch, they're long gone dead. So yeah, it's an issue, but it's kind of fun as well. Like, you weren't born when 9/11 happened. You don't understand 9/11. It's like really funny. So, I remember in my 30s, it's like whatever. You weren't born when Dire Straits released Money for Nothing or something, but you weren't born when 9/11 happened. So it's just one of those things. But this is one of the huge disadvantages to dating younger women, no doubt about that. Particularly the family in many cases can be tough if she's from a Western background. But yeah, you're just learning so much about the world. I try to have male friends who are a lot younger than me because they look at the world through such different eyes. I haven't tried to stick my dick in any of them, and I probably won't. But yeah, it massively expands your life experience having a younger girlfriend. Touching on one of Tessa's point, probably the single greatest gift of my life was traveling the world and having girlfriends in 33 different countries and maybe 55 different cities, many of them in their home city. It's like the education I got from that. I don't think Harvard or Stanford or Oxford or the Sorbonne could get anywhere near that. So yeah, the other thing I talk about a lot, people are quite shocked that I'm 54. I don't know. I think part of that is the fact I've had so much sex with women a lot younger than me. I think there's something happening there. I'm not like taking their blood and sticking that in me or anything like that. Some of the hardcore rich biohackers do. But yeah, there's something about that. So yeah, the cultural difference is huge. The other issue is the parents. If you do start to develop serious feelings for a girl and you meet the parents, that can be a real issue. I mean, I've been treated appallingly. I've been treated quite well. And this is one of the big ones, into the relationship. If you're not getting a good welcome at the start, if there's any stress, often I've had a few girls, one girl I really liked, I basically broke up with her. The majority of the reach, she was a bit too insecure for me to date long term, but she ticked every conceivable box and she was awesome and some of the best sex I've had in my life. It's so smart, despite being flying on the model. One of the reasons I just gave up and said I can't do this is because her mum was just totally harassed, just lobbying hard to get her daughter to dump this guy. So yeah, other issues. Yeah, they're the big ones. The cultural gap's huge. Meeting the family's huge. The family lobbying against you is huge. When you meet a girl where you're the same age as the parents, it's a bit awkward. When you meet a girl and you meet a girl, you spend a night at her favorite girlfriend's house where their 48-year-old mum's there, or whatever, my age mum. And then when the girl isn't around, the mum hits on me really hard because she probably heard my girl screaming till 2 a.m. That was awkward. She actually planted a kiss on me. The situations you get into when you sleep with quite a few girls. So yeah, she just gives me this huge kiss out of nowhere. I'm like, that was a moment that was quite tough to handle. Where are we? Oh, Tess, can you handle the comments? I will screw it up.
That's right. Are you guys still looking for volunteers for the next boot camp? James, you can answer that question.
I think we've got one we're very happy with, so I think we're okay, but we can bear that in mind. Philip
was saying, waiting for female comments here. You might have tuned it in, Philip, here with one of James's rants. But yeah, I'm here. I'm always here to comment on your questions and your comments. So hopefully you've stuck around to hear me speak as well. We'll move on. James.
Tess speaks. Her mouth moves and sounds come out. She's not just a pretty girl, and a lot of wisdom comes out of that pretty mouth too.
Sorry, James. What did Luke say? Luke says, James, what is your view on marriage? If this is this something you would consider? Is it just a concern in common law countries?
James, what do you think about marriage? I would never, ever, ever marry a woman unless she was Taylor Swift or rich or something. But I would be more than happy probably encouraging the marriage of the mother of my children, simply because I think it gives the kids some sort of security. And I think it's not like mission critical, but I think it gives the kids something that they would have that if you were just sort of dating and had kids, you wouldn't. So I don't think there's a woman on earth who could get me to marry her. And I tell them straight away, it's like, there is zero upside in our culture for a man to get married. Zero, zero, zero. We age like fine wine. They age like fish left in the back seat of a car on a 45-degree Perth day. Sorry, Tess. Apart from Tess, yeah. We should scrub that one. But yeah, so there's anyway. We'll get back to the point before I walk out with female coaches who are in their 30s. I'm just trying to keep the guys amused for 2.5 hours.
That's okay.
So
you should see my mum. My mum turned 70 this year, and she looks like she's in her. She looks like she could be like 50 or maybe in her 40s. She looks great. So
you could be certainly mid-20s. So I mean that's a 10-year age gap. So what was I saying? You threw me off my answer to Luke's question. Actually, we age like crypto purchased in 2011. If you do what Tess and I teach you, and including the health stuff, yeah, I'd definitely marry the mother of my kids. I don't know if I'd do it before she'd had one or two and prove she was a good mother. I'd need to deal with that when the time came. But yeah, definitely, I've done pretty much everything I can think of in life within reason. I'd still love to have kids if I can meet a girl who I've actually got a prospect of being with for 15 years. I won't get bored or she won't get pissed at me. So yeah, I'd be happy to marry her in that situation. But there's no way ever I'm marrying a girl, probably until she already had delivered kids of mine. There's zero upside. Unless she had a lot of money. Or this is one of the reasons I really regret not living in LA or New York. If I dated someone really famous, that could be great marketing for my dating boot camp business. But unfortunately, I've stayed in Australia, and it's not exactly chock full of celebrities like it is when you live in Manhattan. So yeah, marriage, yes. Marry a woman, never. Marry the mother of my children, very, very likely. If she's a good mum. If she's a bad mum, she can go screw herself.
Brambala says, I thought Tess once said her largest age gap was 7 years. That's not really an age gap. Okay. Brambala, you've been coming along to our session.
I think that happened to you really young, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, let's think. I dated a guy who was 27 when I was 19. That was dating for a few months. I think the biggest age gap with someone I've like slept with was also around similar age for me. But he was like 37. So what's that? 37 and 19. What's 18? What's that? 18 years or something? That's for someone I've been like intimate with. In terms of relationship, the biggest gap I've had was 19 and 27. Yeah. So what's that? 8 years. Yeah.
When I discuss this subject, I'm quite clear that there are some really remarkable young guys. Maybe they've been through hardship. Maybe they had great parents. So So I'm not saying there's no desirable women in their 30s, desirable men in their 20s or 30s. That would be nonsensical. So yeah. But yeah, the different girls have a different variety of experiences. But from what I think you're picking up here, if the situation arose, she'd definitely be very open to it if there was the right guy and the right connection. And he surfed. You've got to surf, otherwise you're not getting near Tess. You've got to surf. Jackie, you got to have an expensive kick-ass water filter. Tess, you got to surf. Doesn't matter if you're Chris or Liam Hems, whatever their dude's name is, Hemsworth, something like that. We've done smart girls want older men. So it was comment. Did you let a woman go? What exactly do you mean by that? I've had to break up with dozens of women because it's just part of life. That's something we teach on one of our events. You got to learn how to dump a woman very humanely and very explicitly, without triggering a reaction, particularly if you're quite big. Yeah, I've dumped so many girls. It's not funny. I left the love of my life. I left the greatest woman of my life eventually when I realized she was just too smart and difficult for me. I left the greatest girl I've ever met in an English-speaking country.
I think, yeah, Luke's clarified the question here, James. I think he means as in, the one that got away sort of thing. Do you look back on one you now wanted to keep? That's what he's asking.
No, because in all cases, I'd have hurt those women more because I was too immature. I was too selfish. For my entire 30s, one of the big advantages I had in my 30s, this is a huge tip, women were irrelevant to me. They were just irrelevant compared to traveling. I was addicted to travel, like probably worse than I was addicted to cigarettes or binge drinking. Travel was like heroin for me. It was absolute crack. It was heroin. So, I mean, just proper models in New York I was dating. I'm going to Colombia. I'm going back to Australia, then I'm going to Cambodia and Burma, and I'm going to Africa. Just didn't give a fuck. She wasn't a model, but she was a 5'11" actuary. Probably could have been a model. So smart. Best set ever. Face like an angel. Ukrainian heritage. American-born Ukrainian heritage. Connection you can't believe. I just toddled off to Colombia. I didn't miss him for very long. So the truth is, I do not regret anything I did. I would give almost anything to meet 6 of those girls, 10 of those girls now. But unfortunately, the women I like don't tend to hang around Bondi Beach, and I don't think they tend to hang around Sydney. Simply because I have been so privileged in terms of the women I've been able to share my life with and my bed with. Looks is obviously important, but just in terms of how many had master's degrees, how many were from Soviet backgrounds, how many had parents whose fathers and sometimes mothers were PhDs, how many of them had read 10 times more literature than me, how many of them, particularly the models, had traveled extensively when they're like 16 or 18 or 21. So I'm not in the thousand Wilt Chamberlain category or anything, but in terms of the women I've had, it's been incredibly privileged women. I suppose you drive a German car or fly in a private jet or fly business, you don't want to go back. None of those things really turn me on, but having a certain quality of woman I can be with, it's going to be my fear is, and I've done this before, is I settle for a girl just because of the age I'm at, and then 2 years later, 3 years later, 2 or 3 kids later, it all goes pear-shaped. So I think if you are quite desirable or anything, you just can never settle. You can never settle. You've got to find your princess, and you've got to deal with how difficult some of the princesses can be, because some of the women I'm talking about, I mean, the woman's tests I had to navigate to get them, to keep them, to make the relationship work. One of them, it was like 3-4 days of heaven on earth. It was some of the happiest, most alive I've ever been in my life, traveling with this girl or living with this girl in her city. But yeah, then there was a day of complete hell where I just got bludgeoned by all these games. So yeah, there was none. I probably was one I wanted to keep for about a year. I wish I could get her back after I dumped her and fucked up. But I don't regret the actions I've taken. In part, so it just hurt them more. I was just too immature. I was too addicted to one thing. And even in my 40s, I was too addicted to helping people to ever take any girl that seriously. I was busy in my business, which I did a horrendous job of running and had the wrong staff. And A players only is the most important business lesson I've ever heard. I had girls I was having threesomes with who hated me. Psychologists I employed said I've never seen anyone who hated another human being that much. So yeah, but I sacrificed women I dated. I could have followed through and slept with just because I wanted to do more boot camps and improve my business. So yeah, there's no one I regret in terms of I did the wrong thing at the time, but there's probably a dozen, maybe 20 I'd almost kill to get back now. And I think about that a wee bit too much. I need to get to St. Petersburg, Moscow, or Budapest, or maybe some incredibly brilliant Latina girl. Anyway, that looks like we're going a bit longer. We had a string of amazing questions at the end. Tess, you want to wrap up with anything?
No, just thank you guys for being here, and to our regulars, some new people as well. We love all your comments and your questions. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new here. That really helps us. And yeah, we do these every so often. Oh, there's just been another question. Do you want to address this, James?
Well, definitely the last one. Women can age quite well, but the problem is their childbirth is much more limited than men. And that's kind of where the rubber really hits the road. I was going to say something absolutely disgusting, which I won't. But it occurred to my mind that girls might walk off if I said that. Why did I share that with you? Yeah. I don't know. I think it's Darwin. I think it's the experience I've had. I have trouble I get very attracted to women over a certain age in terms of I want to be friends with them, I want to hang out with them, I want to have some sort of platonic relationship with them, but I'm not really attracted to them. So I've been put in the friend zone by a bunch of girls I really desperately wanted to be friends with because there was no sexual follow through. I was really actually quite hurt. There was a girl I met, probably the most desirable, dateable girl in Bondi Beach. Really amazing woman. I mean, I'd have been chasing her down with a vengeance if she was in her 20s. But I met her when she was late 30s, and she clearly wanted to have kids, and I just wasn't interested in sleeping with her, let alone a relationship. And it would have been totally unfair if I ever did, because it wouldn't have lasted. So yeah, that's an issue. There's a lot of guys who are quite attracted to women who are a bit older. I don't happen to be one of them. But yeah, two of my female coaches, they've got this weird genetic evolution where they're attracted to younger men. So yeah, some girls like to be whipped till they pass out. Some girls like to take football teams. Everyone's got their preferences and female fantasies. Some guys like some guy to stick their what's up their ass, whatever you want, as long as it's not with a 9-year-old. I don't really care. Yeah, I mean, I've surveyed clients where I've got 50 clients in the room, my upper level clients. And yeah, there's always been 1 or 2 or 3 who tend to prefer the girls well into their 30s, their 40s, but the majority are sort of doing what Darwin would suggest. So, and the issue with women close to childbirth is if you'd got her a bit early, you might have had a great girlfriend, but when she's panicking about a biological clock and thrashing you with female tests to see if you're the right guy, you might not even get started with a really, really wonderful woman. I'll sign off with this. Clinical psychologist, literally. I've had a few, 3 or 4 clinical psychologists, female coaches. Model, she's Latino. She met some Australian lawyer, and she moved from Peru to Australia, And on one of the panels I do, where all these models come up and share their sexual life, their dating life, she said she was really sweet in Peru. Occasionally she'd be a bit bitchy just to make sure he's a man. But when she moved all the way from Peru to Australia, left her family. She loved her family so much. She loved her culture so much. She didn't really like Australian family, but she really loved this guy. And it wasn't a money thing. She came from money in Peru. When she did that, she said she absolutely pummeled this guy, and she gave a bunch of examples of what she did because she wanted to put this guy through sheer torture on earth. So if she had got impregnated by this guy, she wanted to know this guy was going to stick around and not leave her, in Australia with a family and the guy leave. So yeah, that might not have happened if she was a bit younger. Anyway, that's we've gone too long tonight. My fault. Great questions, guys. We're going to give less good content so we get the questions earlier so I can feed my skinny ass so Tess doesn't get angry at me. Tess, do you want to sign off with anything? Anyone who really enjoyed this, there should be a link in the replay. Often we get the best content at the end, best tips at the end. And yeah, Tess, do you want to say bye?
Yeah, just bye, guys. Thanks for being here and looking forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks again to our regulars. We really appreciate you, and we don't know what the hell we're doing on YouTube. And as I used to say in a crappy Australian game show, keep smiling and bye for now.
See you guys.